Welcome to DAX Machina, with your hosts, Naoma Finn, Steve Wildman Monrotis, and D.A. Roberts. Join us as we explore writing, books, authors, and all things horror. We will delve into the sightings, reports, encounters, and tales of monsters. We will also explore the writings of D.A. Roberts along with others in the horror genre. We will investigate the possibilities that monsters may not be safely locked away in the pages of books. They might just walk among us even now. Grab some popcorn and lock the doors. It's going to be a creepy journey. Welcome to DAX Machina.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to DAX Machina on a Saturday night. Joining me tonight is Naoma Finn, who is not normally with us on Saturday night, but Steve is feeling under weather tonight, so we hope Steve gets to feeling better. And she's filling in for Steve tonight. And joining us is James Clary. We're having some technical issues with his sound at the moment, so we'll probably just go ahead and get started and kind of work him in as soon as we can get the sound issues cleared up. Naoma, how are you doing tonight?
I am just this side of wonderful. How about you?
Oh, alive and kicking so far. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year to you, too. Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year,
through
definitely.
Another very scary year, and we can only hope that the next year will not be quite so bad.
No kidding.
So...
I can't hear you, unfortunately.
Oh,
we can hear you. You can't hear us, but you... Well, we may have to do a workaround. We may have to ask him questions in the private chat and let him answer them on the air. Which won't be the weirdest thing we've ever had to do, but we are able to hear him, though. What's that?
When he changed headphones, I wonder if he remembered to change them in the settings.
Well, mention that to him. Oh, we got a lot of people saying Happy New Year to us. Yeah, Chip Bowner says tech issues. No, yeah, it wouldn't be a DAX Machina episode if we didn't have some technical issues. So that's kind of the way things just always are. Hopefully, we'll get it fixed here in a minute. But in the meantime, I'll just go ahead and kind of give a little bit of background. James Clary lives here in Springfield, same town I live in. He managed Clary's restaurant, owned and managed Clary's restaurant for many years. He's also a paranormal investigator with years of experience. He's investigated the American giants, which may very well tie into Bigfoot. We're going to talk to him about that. We can hear
issues. My sound is not working well, but we'll get through this.
And in the meantime, had a wonderful day today. Spent the day on the couch. I ate a lot of food this weekend. My stomach feels like I'm 9 months pregnant. And I may explode at any moment. It will be gruesome, but it will be a relief, so do not worry.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
No Comp 907 says, here in Alaska, it's a windy mess tonight with gusts from 40 to 75 miles an hour. Wind chill is a bish. LOL. Yeah, I bet it's cold as hell up there. And it's pretty chilly here where I'm at. It's like 20 degrees.
Yeah, we've been under
about
tornado watches. About checking his settings?
Yeah, his since he changed headphones.
Yeah, he said he did that. I asked
it's weird
him
when he first logged in, we had sound, and then it went away.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to disconnect and reconnect again. Gosh, why am I missing fingers all of a sudden?
Well, I'm going to call him on the phone and see if I can talk him through getting this going. Give me just a second,
Okay.
folks.
So, two peanuts were walking down the street and one of them was assaulted.
That's funny. All right, let me pull out a headphone.
All right. That's true. We can hear him. All we have to do is ask him the questions via the phone. And he can, because we can hear him just fine. You know, I've been to Hell, Michigan.
So sorry about this. I don't know what's
no
going
problem.
on. I had it all checked out. So,
well, we can hear you just fine. We just can't. Apparently, you can't hear us.
I just muted him so that the conversation. But now that you are talking, I will unmute him.
Then I can answer it.
Okay. There's a little icon down at the bottom that looks like a gear. Click on that, then click on audio. And what does it say when you click on audio?
Okay, audio input, default audio output, which is fine, is my USB. So the input, should I try internal mic? No, or my headphones? I don't know.
Default. You can't hear us. He can't hear us.
Okay.
So he needs to do the output. Needs to be his headphones.
Yeah, the output needs to be your headphones.
The output needs to be my headphones. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
And there it is.
Hey, awesome. All right. Hot dog. Okay, I'll hang up.
All right.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Boom, like a boom, like a boom, like a boom.
It's always the paranormal stuff where this crap happens. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything gets crazy when we go paranormal.
Absolutely. Now, with the UFO show, we had some weird crap happening too.
Yeah. Very true.
So, James, tell us a little bit about your research and your background in paranormal.
Yeah, so, this started for me when I watched a Nova episode called The Elegant Universe by Brian Greene, who is a quantum physicist. And I've always been real interested in science, even though I'm a chef by trade. So anyway, I got into quantum physics. I read a ton of books about that really made me wonder about the nature of reality, which led to UFOs, and it led to the paranormal. And I just became very interested, and I know your field of specialty is cryptozoology. I'm interested in all of it. I did a lot of research on ancient giants, ended up doing an episode of a show on the History Channel called Search for the Lost Giants with Jim Vieira, which was fascinating. And most of my research has been local here in the Ozarks.
Most of mine has been as well.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to research around here. One of the things I found out is by a couple different websites, Springfield, Missouri is ranked as the 10th most haunted city in the U.S. capita.
That doesn't really shock me, knowing what I know about Springfield.
Right? No doubt. So there's a lot. I mean, off the top of my head, I can think of 6 or 7 places with very credible reports of hauntings. And as you know, we're going to get into it a little bit. I'm not a paranormal investigator. I never have been. I'm more of an interested party and a researcher. And I did 2 paranormal investigations at the Landers Theater. And we'll get into what I found there, but it was pretty astonishing. And that's what kind of convinced me that, hey, there's something to this stuff.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree. The EVPs you sent me are pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange. I probably didn't tell you. We went back 6 months later and got absolutely nothing. Not one response, 0, zip, zilch. And on that first night, I'd say I had at least 30 Class A or B EVPs, at least 30, which is highly unusual.
Yeah. I would love to get inside the Landers Theater and film. I just don't know anybody who to contact.
Well, we can do it. I can make that happen for sure.
That would be awesome. I would love to do that.
You bet. You bet, man. You bet.
So tell me the history of that theater.
Yeah. Well, the Landers was built, I believe it was in 1904, and it's been a community theater pretty much all along. Now, the tales of particular misfortunes and death there vary, but we know confirmed there was a fire and there was a janitor that died in the fire. There's another tale that a baby died and was dropped off the balcony, and I don't find that to be credible. I can't find any evidence to back that up, but the janitor that died in a fire was confirmed, and I got an interesting EVP about a fire, and those EVPs, I don't know when you want to get into playing, but we captured a boy speaking in German. Mm-hmm. We captured a gentleman speaking in French. That was actually the first one I found. I don't know if you want me to go into that story a little bit, but
sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So it was about 10, 11 years ago, and one of my good friends, a guy named Bill Kelly, and I don't think he'll mind me naming him, but he had donated to the Landers over the years, was pretty philanthropic. His son and my son were best friends. And his son, Nick, for his 12th birthday, wanted to do a paranormal investigation. Now, at that point, I was on the fence about all of this. I was interested. So Bill asked me to go along. So it was me, Bill, another adult friend, and about 6 teenagers, boys, all of us boys. The Landers, because Bill kind of had an in there, locked us in at 11 p.m., and we were there till almost 5 in the morning. So we had the place completely to ourselves. The theater itself, the area where you sit and the stage is fine, but boy, you get into the basement and the back areas and the green rooms, it's pretty creepy. There's all kinds of mannequins and costumes, and so, we did the deal, and to kind of play along with it, I wrote the boys a letter and said, look, we're going to take this real seriously. Yes, it's fun and it's Nick's birthday, but if you guys want to really do it, we got to do it scientifically. So you have to have absolute silence when we're doing these things. You just showed a couple pictures, and we'll look at those a little more closely, because there's actually some orbs in those. But so we made our recordings. We took a bunch of video, and nothing that night other than the fact we did set a motion detector in the basement, and it kept going off, and we couldn't figure that out. But so I didn't think another thing. The boys kept pestering me to go check hey, have you checked the evidence? And I'm like, oh Lord, I really thought it was a bunch of hooey. So one night, after my son had asked me again if I'd looked over anything, I just plugged in the little dictaphone I used and put my headphones on, and I remember exactly where I was, and I asked the question. I was in the attic, and to get to the attic, you have to climb up a ladder, and there was a ceiling tile pushed aside, and I'm literally halfway in, halfway out. Everyone else had left. They were 2 floors down. I was completely alone. It was pitch black, and I asked the question, is anybody up here? And I heard something, but I wasn't sure what it was. So make a long story short, I figured out a way to get that information from that little dictaphone onto my computer, and I used Audacity for the very first time, which allowed me to amplify the wave files. They weren't manipulated in any other way but making them louder. And when I made that first one louder, I distinctly heard a voice say what I now know is Démon Gigi, which in French means I'm Bill. Damon means of me. GG is short for Guillaume or William. So I asked, if to the darkness, to nothing, I asked, is anybody up here? And a voice responded in French, I'm Bill. And that freaked me out. I mean,
would you like me to play that EVP?
yeah, I think it's number 2 if you have it.
Want us to leave?
Sorry.
Is there anybody up here?
So you met Bill.
That was actually a good. Yeah, I met Bill. That one you just played, that's really strange, because I want you to play that again. So we asked the question, and almost all the EVPs, not all of them, but almost all of them were actual responses to questions. There's 2 types of EVPs in the field that I've learned now. There's passive, which is where you just set a microphone or a recording device and you leave it. It could be up to days. There's also response EVPs. So that EVP was in response to a question, do you want us to leave? Now, what's really interesting about that particular EVP, why don't you play it again, let the audience hear it, and then I'll comment on a little bit.
Okay.
Want us to leave?
Now, I don't know if you know this, but there's a very strange background noise in that EVP. I call it a whirring noise. And let me ask you guys, does that sound feminine or masculine to you?
Sounds feminine to me.
Me too. We caught that same voice on 2 other recordings, and that same strange whirring sound is in the background every time. And to me, this is one of the oddest anomalies in this whole investigation. So I asked, do you want us to leave? That woman says, yes, now, with that whirring sound. Another question I asked that she responded to, I said, did anyone die here? And she says, yes, it happened, with the same strange whirring sound. I mean, it's just bizarre. And not only did we catch her multiple times, we caught her on multiple devices. I caught her on the dictaphone. She also came through on the video recording devices. So that was a strange one.
Yeah, you can definitely hear something on the recording. I mean, and yeah, EVPs kind of freak me out a little bit.
You know, I've done a lot of research since then, and I'm kind of disappointed in science, but I think we could say that with a lot of subjects. But, you know, there really hasn't been major scientific research into this avenue. What science will tell you, it's either one of 2 things. It's pareidolia, where your brain has to make sense out of something, so there's a noise and it makes it into language, or it's interference from outside, like CB radio traffic, airline traffic. The thing is, they've done experiments with EVPs inside a Faraday cage where no outside electronics could get through it. So we can rule that one out. So all that's left is that your brain is making words out of something. And if you play a couple other of these EVPs, I'm just pretty convinced that we're hearing language, not some random sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How about this one?
Okay.
Here?
You might try that again. I think it is missing some.
Here?
Okay. That it's a little bit hard to hear, but that was in response to a question. We heard there was a fire. Did somebody die from the fire? That was the question. And the answer we got is what you hear, and it's, in my opinion, it's a little boy, and he's speaking German. And what he's saying is English ash, which means English ash. Now, why the word ash was in response to a question about a fire, I mean, it's just bizarre. And the fact that it's a little boy, apparently speaking German. What the heck is that all about, you know?
Yeah, exactly. These are really creepy. I've got a few others loaded and ready.
Yeah, go ahead and say one and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Play that one more. That one's kind of hard to. It's kind of hard to understand because you're hearing my voice and what I hear on it. And when you saw it planted, you lose a little bit. But one of the main things you'll hear at the very end of it, you hear what sounds like a rope swung around. But what the whole EVP says, what I hear is turn around, it won't scare you, and then you hear this rope. And I don't know if the file I sent you's corrupted a little bit. Play it one more time, too. I definitely hear the rope.
Yeah, I can kind of hear like a sound.
Yeah. And right before that, you can hear the turnaround. Now, the crazy one is that the EVP that we picked up right for that, and I think it's the clearest one of all. Let me pull it, make sure I've got the right number. It's it's the one that says, "Look behind you, punk."
Okay, let me find it. There we go.
Clint Eastwood. Did he die? I'm sorry. I don't mean to make light of it. That's freaky.
It is kind of freaky.
Did it play? I didn't hear it on my end.
Yeah, it played.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Look.
Sorry. The question from Werewolf 5674 is how old the theater? It's about 120 years old, give or take.
Yeah. So to put that last one in context.
Sorry. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong buttons. Sorry.
Yeah. So we had done something called voting. Light of the spirits. And I said we said some kind of crude thing. And so the EVPs we picked up right about were turn around, scare you, and the rope sound. And then immediately after that, another voice says, "Look behind you, punk." And that one is as clear as day.
Yeah, that's the one we just played, and it is very clear.
Yeah. And remember, that is right after we had done this. You hear me right there?
Audio is kind of rough.
Yeah, DA, you're frozen.
Is it?
I'm frozen?
Uh-huh. I'm catching you guys on a delay.
Huh.
We're having all kinds of weird stuff happening.
Yeah.
Man,
we're going back to Wednesdays.
We start playing EVPs and everything goes crazy.
I know, man. It happens every time.
Okay, you're only frozen on my screen. On YouTube, you're moving. So I think I'm going to have to click out and back in, guys.
Okay.
DA, I still see you fine.
What's that?
I said I can see and hear you fine.
That's
I'm
good.
checking my levels to make sure I'm not overdrive, but it does sound better now that she clicked out. I don't know, it was a lot of, but anyway, the people in the chat were saying that one is very clear. That one is one of the most clear EVPs we got. And what's frightening about it is one voice says, turn around, it won't scare you. And another one says, look behind you, punk, in a very demanding voice. Now, of course, EVP means you don't hear it at the time. We heard nothing at the time. But I wondered, DA, what the hell was behind us?
No kidding.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. God knows.
I know. I've always wondered that, man. It kind of freaks me out.
I can see why.
But, you know,
I was wanting to play
the
again.
history of the thing is, yeah, go ahead.
Well, let me play this one real quick.
Okay.
Want us to leave?
I hear that as clear as a bell. It says yes now. That really kind of freaks me out. Like, do you want us to leave? Yes, now.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. And
That makes
then
the little hairs on the back of my neck stand up.
I know. And then again, what the heck is that strange whirring sound? You know, you try and figure out what is EVP. I mean, the first, people that believe, quotation marks, they're going to go, well, they're spirits. I don't know what they are, DA, but that whirring sound is a clue to me that it's from some other dimension. That
yeah, like it's talking.
It's not Cordelia. Oh. The woman was obviously coming through from somewhere other than those other voices, because we only got that whirring sound when we picked up her, which I find very odd.
It is really bizarre.
Yeah. So did you have any problem?
Everybody's still delaying on me.
That's weird.
Am I behind? Am I delaying?
No, you seem to be fine on my end.
Huh.
Good on my end.
Okay, well, I'm going to pretend that everything's cool here until something happens.
Okay.
Call me Cleopatra. Call me Cleopatra. I am Queen of Denial.
Did you have any of the others? Did we play them all, DA?
No, I've got a couple. I'm loading some of the others now. Here's one.
Okay. All right.
Okay, who spoke where? Who said stop it and who said you stop it?
Okay, I was talking to one of the, you kept clicking flashlight. So that the first one is me saying, stop it, to the boy to keep clicking flashlight. And the other voice is an unknown voice that says, you stop it. Play that again, because that was freaky, knowing the context. The first voice is me.
Stop it. Stop it.
That's clear as crystal.
I know. I mean, these are what would be classified as Class A EVPs, that they're easy to understand. They're very clear. It's obviously human language. The brain isn't creating that. So you have to ask yourself, why hasn't mainstream science embraced this subject?
I have no answer for that. All the ghost shows I ever watch on television, the EVPs they capture, they're like, I'm not even sure that was something speaking. It just sounded like buzzing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I agree totally. And I mean, I think what we thought that night was extraordinary. I actually was in contact with one of the gentlemen who's on that show, Ghost Hunters International. Can't remember his name. He was the Irish guy. And I sent him this stuff, and his response was, this is truly amazing. He goes, It is so rare to capture so many in one night. And I did want to mention the manager of the theater who met us there. She later told me, she goes, look, I've worked here 20 years. I knew within the first 6 months the place is haunted, and I can tell you story after story. She goes, I actually, when I walk into work, I get a feeling today is going to be an active day paranormally, or it's going to be no activity. She said, the night I let you in, the hairs were already standing up on the back of my neck. And as I mentioned, we went back 6 months later and got nothing, not one, which to me lends credibility.
Definitely. I've got the last two that I have uploaded. So if you want me to play those,
Okay.
and we can talk about those. I've got this one.
EVP session.
Sound like something said tape recorder.
So which one was that? For some reason, those aren't coming across to me.
That's EVP 8 that you sent me.
EVP session?
It's tape recorder. EVP session?
Mm-hmm.
Tape recorder.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that crazy? So what that happened was, I pulled out my little request, and I say EVP session, but right before I say it is the actual EVP. It's that I pull it out, you hear something say tape recorder.
Yeah, that's really wild.
That is. I have a
Like
question
it's aware
for
of
you.
what you were doing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah.
When you're on these, when you're doing these investigations, do you feel a general negative or positive reaction to your presence?
You know, that night, I got to be honest, like I said, I'm not really a paranormal investigator, but that night, the place felt creepy, but I didn't feel anything. I don't think I'm sensitive at all. The place was just kind of creepy. That's all I can say. But when you look into that EVP, the look behind you, punk, and you want us to leave, yes, now. And there's other ones. I had one that says get out, as clear as day. I'll tell you one of the stranger ones I have, and it's not a great soundbite, but if you look up the history of landers and hauntings, one thing that people have reported over and over is something called the black orb, and it's just this black mass, like a big black shadow. Now, I used to own a restaurant right next door to the Landers. It was called the Gallery Bistro. It's where pizza is downtown.
I know right where that's at.
One of my waiters, so there's an alley between us and the Landers is right across that alley. Well, one of my waiters one night when I was down there told me that he saw a shadow as dark as ink moving across the outside of the building, and it really freaked him out. This is before I had done this. I just remembered it later. But I have an EVP at the Landers, and I said, hey, what about the black orb? And as soon as that comes out of my mouth, you hear this crash. It sounds like someone dropping 500 plates off a 3-story building. The thing is, we heard nothing that night. What's very odd about it is I was watching a ghost show several years later, and they recorded an EVP that was the exact same crash that I recorded. And the investigator was saying, we associate these crashing sounds with demonic activity. So I don't know. I don't know if it's linked. I mean, it's just bizarre. As soon as black comes out of my mouth, you hear this huge crash. I mean, you couldn't mistake it. You got to remember, at the time, we heard nothing. It's only on the recorder, which again is bizarre.
That is bizarre.
So I've been in and out, and this has already been talked about, I apologize, but the Landers is where the security guard went down in the basement, saw something.
It wasn't a security guard. That was a Springfield cop.
He went down in the basement, saw something, came upstairs, quit his job.
Refused to
And
talk about it and quit like the next day.
has anybody ever determined what he saw? Was it that
He
black
would
mass?
never speak of it. He's passed away now, but he would never talk about what he saw. I know people that
Wow.
knew the guy, tried to get him to talk about it. He would never tell what he saw, but he was done. He walked away from his job the next day.
Has anybody seen anything that they have talked about down there that might approach something scary enough to make them?
There have been people that I've heard accounts from the Landers Theater that actors who were like looking for costumes and stuff have been chased out of the basement by stuff. Generally, it's the basement or the balcony where most people feel like something is after them.
Yeah. I will say this, that one of the managers, one of the best known stories, and it was on YouTube for a long time, his interview, is that they were closed and he had his back turned and he, felt movement out of the corner of his eye and he saw a gentleman fully dressed walk into the theater. And he's like, what the heck? And so he immediately ran after him and there was nobody there. So now there's one other entity that has been reported by multiple people, and it's called a green orb. It's an orb is a lot of people say that they're just specks of dust. Well, that very well may be, but when you see something moving that's round and shaped, it's not a speck of dust. And if you put DA, I think you can actually, we got a picture of the green orb and didn't discover this. I don't know if you could, it's right in the middle, just to the right on that last picture. If you can go back. But even on this picture, you can see the orb.
I see it.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yes.
And it's actually green. Now, I didn't discover this. I know podcast is stuff you don't know. Says, dude, that orb is green. He pulled it up. And there have been reports of green orbs being seen by multiple people, and I think we got a picture of it.
Well, up at the top of that picture, up at the top in the middle, it almost looks like somebody's seated in the back row of those chairs.
It does kind of, doesn't it? It does. And you can see
like a purple light right at the top of it.
Yeah, that light up there is something, that's where the projection room is. I think that's just a light, but you can see orbs throughout this picture. What's really strange, I took these three pictures back to back to back, and the first two have the orb, the third one is completely gone, which is just odd.
Now, I want to share a story real quick. I don't remember if it was after last Wednesday's show or the Wednesday before. But once the show is over, we stay on in the studio and we tend to have a conversation talking about how well the show went and whatnot. And often we discuss what we're going to talk about the following week. And as DA and I were sitting there talking, that green orb in that first picture is exactly what I saw float right across the screen in front of DA. Exactly. Wow. Do you remember that?
I remember you pointing it out, but I didn't see it.
And because we were already out of the show, we didn't have it recorded.
Yeah, it wasn't recording.
Hey, DA, leave this picture up. This is the one with the clear picture of the green orb. It's not the top. No, did that. It was the one we were just on. Yeah, right there. Look at the top, about halfway between the right edge and the middle.
I see it.
I mean, that is clear. And when you blow that up, it almost looks like there's a face in it. I mean, it is a creepy looking thing. I can tell you this, it's not a speck of dust. There's no way.
It does look like there's something in it.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said,
when you look at this one, that shape, you can tell it's like boxes or sound equipment. But in the other photo, it kind of looked like the shape of a person. But
I'm sorry, did I change that? I'm sorry.
No, I did it.
Okay.
And when you look at this angle, you can tell it's just boxes. So I wanted to point that out that, once we you know, if I can debunk it, I will, but because that was, it looked like a shape, but on another angle, it looks like boxes or sound equipment. So that one clearly is not a shape.
Can you send me that really clear picture? The one that looks like it's got the face in it. I'm going to see if I can.
Sure. Give me just a second.
Manipulate it a little.
Okay. Give me just a moment. I got to get into.
Well, you know, while you're doing that, DA, I wanted to debunk all this stuff. I thought it was hoo-ha. I didn't believe in it. I really didn't. And I had to listen to these things over and over. I reached out to people in the scientific community, and I was scoffed at. They told me, look, it's either CB radio traffic or it's pareidolia. And I'm like, dude, it's 3 a.m. in Springfield, Missouri. Some trucker is speaking French. Are you serious?
I have one more EVP loaded.
For some McDonald's.
I have one more loaded if you want me to play it.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is the last one I've got.
All right.
Or I'll play it again so everybody can hear. Yeah, I'll play it again.
I love that one.
Yeah,
so,
go ahead.
Obviously, I told you what I think it says. Did you get the description of it? I wonder if the audience can tell what they think it says. I don't know. Did you put the caption on it?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
I'll play it again.
Play it again.
It clearly says James, stand up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was seated in the front row at the time. And it used my name. When I found that one, I'm like, oh boy, they actually know my name. Where's that from? You know, all that investigation did was make me more curious about the nature of reality. But I got to be honest with you, I'm not one of those people that wants to be a paranormal investigator. I think some of that stuff from a personal standpoint is better left alone, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, if you mess with the wrong entity, you're going to regret it.
Exactly. And I've had advice from people that I trust, love, and respect that told me, just stay away from it. Be careful. You know, people do get hurt with that, and I'm not knowledgeable enough. No, if somebody said it's funny and knew my name, I know. That's creepy as hell. I'll tell you that. But
I've got a buddy.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got a buddy who one night he was fishing up on the Niangua arm of Lake of the Ozarks. And he said all throughout the time he was there, he was night fishing, he could see orbs of light moving around in the ruins of Tonka.
Wow.
So I asked about getting in there after dark and was told in no uncertain terms that place is shut down at dusk and you are not allowed in there. If they catch you in there after dark, you'll be going to jail. So I wonder what's really going on up there. I mean, that place had a lot of tragedy behind it.
Didn't you talk a little bit when you were on Richard Surratt's show about Tonka?
Oh yeah. That place. I believe there's something very, very strong there. The guy that owned the Tonka State Park, when he passed away, he was in possession of the largest collection of occult books this side of the Mississippi. And when his family, when he passed away, his wife and sons donated all of that to UMKC, and they immediately locked the collection down. And when I contacted them about it, almost 100 years later, it's still being cataloged and cannot be accessed by the public.
Yeah. You know,
they will not let you have access to his collection.
So it goes to my point about what I've made several times about mainstream science. I believe and really we should probably talk a little bit about my research into the ancient giants, because it so ties into this idea that there is a cover-up among certain segments of society, but they don't want us to know certain things. And if I tell you a little bit about how I got into that and what I found out, there's an article on the internet. You know how that goes, right?
Oh yeah.
It was an
Take it with a grain of
article.
salt.
Yeah, exactly. But it was fascinating because the date line on it was, I can't even remember. It was an AP story. It was an Associated Press story. And it was from, it was 1936. And it said, I'm trying to open this up, but the basic gist of the article was a researcher had found 6 giant skeletons in a concrete vault laid out in a very ritualistic, symbolic manner near Odessa, which is up towards Kansas City. And then researcher was a guy named Sterling Newberry. Now, you may know the Newberry building downtown. The Newberry family in Springfield was well known back then. And I looked, well, you know, at first I'm like, who was this guy even internet story? So I went to the library, and this was before the Springfield library had put all their files. You had to use microfiche. And I looked up this Sterling Newberry guy. He was a super well-respected, he was a pastor, but he was an amateur archaeologist. He was so well-respected that I found an article where the Springfield School Board granted $30,000, which was a huge sum of money in the day, for his artifacts to be shown in a special museum that schools could access. His son, Sterling Jr., went on to invent one of the first X-ray microscopes. If you look up X-ray microscopy, this guy is super famous. So this is not some fly-by-the-night family, but what is totally bizarre is he found there's another big, several articles about he found Indian artifacts on the James River near Stratford, and I've been looking for this cave for 5 years now. But there's pictures of these artifacts he found, and they look Mayan. I mean, they're incredibly ornate pottery. Now, we were told, I don't know, at least I was, we were told that the Osage, the Kickapoos, the Delaware, the tribes around here, that they were all hunter-gatherers. They didn't have civilization that made ornate pottery. Yet Newberry was finding this stuff all over. I can't
It could have been
find
related
any
to the
evidence.
Cahokia Mounds.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think that's exactly what it was. And
The Mississippian culture was very similar to. I said the Mississippian culture was very similar to the Mayans.
Exactly. And I think they had, you know, they found shells in Cahokia. They actually obviously trade people on the ocean. They were in contact.
With him having direct access to the Mississippi. Yeah, with them having direct access to the Mississippi, it wouldn't be unheard of for them to travel down the length of the Mississippi.
Exactly. Right. So what's so strange though is, you know, I've been in contact recently with Missouri State, the archaeology department. I spent that original, the 8-inch skeleton came out of the southeast Missourian, which is out of Cape Jerome. I spoke with an assistant editor there. He told the story. He goes, yeah, I'm looking at it. We did. I mean, we put it on the AP wire, and the AP wire picked it up. What's kind of strange is it wasn't in the Springfield paper. There's tons of stuff about Sterling Newberry he obviously had this massive archive. The city grants him $35,000, and then nothing happened to it. I've talked to the city museum. I've talked to MSU archaeology. They don't know anything. I mean, at the time, he was considered the expert in this area on Indian artifacts. It's just very strange. The disconnect somewhere.
Well, about the giant skeletons, let me ask you this: do you think they were just giant humans, or do you think they might be, somehow related to Bigfoot?
I think they were humans, but I've read there's no report hair. I mean, probably one of the better accounts out of the cave, Lovelock Cave in Nevada, and actually the daughter of I think they were Utes, of the Ute tribe, wrote a book, and she taught her ancestors fight this race, 8 to 10 foot red-haired giant that lived in this cave. And those giant bones on display at the Lovelock Museum. There's a museum there still. Now the bones are gone, but from what I'm told, the sandals that are like size 17 sandals that they have on display. Now,
I read about that. I read about the Lovelock Cave.
These giants were cannibals, and her tribe, yeah, exactly, and they killed them by birth. There's a book by Brian Greene that's Ancient Giants That Roam Northcott. The thing about it is it's the amount of evidence. People think that, every newspaper article's on the internet. Well, I'm telling you, they're not. I'd say less percent are. When you get into the paper archives between, let's say, 1880 and 1950, there are thousands of articles referencing the top scientists of the day, all discussing these giant remains. It was a given. If you asked somebody in 1930, was there a race of ancient giants in America, they'd look at you like you're an idiot. Well, of course, everybody knows that. And it's been scrubbed from history. I know that sounds conspiratorial, but my research and that of, Jim Vieira and Richard Dewhurst and many others firmly believe that. And it was intentional. And I think we know why, but
well, the description of them being gigantic humans with red hair is very similar to the stories coming out of Afghanistan called the Kandahar Giants, where U.S. military special forces groups have engaged these creatures on more than one occasion.
Yeah, exactly. And this, all these things kind of tie together. We had a message Wallace said, I believe the pyramids were pre-flood and looked that way. This all has to do with ancient history, forbidden history, and the idea that Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock have put forth that there have been many ancient civilizations in the past that were wiped out by Earth's catastrophes. The last one being the Younger Dryas period, 12,000 years ago. And he's right. It's like the geologist, I can't remember his name, that said the Sphinx is actually 6,000 years older than we thought it was. And they know that because it's been eroded by water. And there wasn't enough rain except 12,000 years ago. And Egypt was a tropical forest with a lot of rainfall.
That makes a lot of sense.
So I don't know too deep in that tangent, but you guys should look into a book called Adam and Eve that was classified by the CIA. It was written in 1965, and the book was about the same theory that Hancock and Carlson talk about. These catastrophes happen on a cyclical basis and wipe out civilizations. And the CIA immediately classified this book. None of it was released until 2016 under a FOIA request, and they only released 53 pages out of almost 300. Now, figure that one out.
Yeah, no kidding. Why would they classify a book?
Well,
I wonder if
if
there are
you
any
buy into
copies
the
out there still floating
theory,
around.
you know, I've looked, and a lot of people have looked. We actually did a show on this on my podcast. No, but the 53 pages themselves are scary enough, and I think the reason they classified it is they believed it was accurate. And we are about 700 years overdue for this next cataclysm.
Yeah, I think we are overdue.
And, you know, his theory is that as our solar system moves through the galaxy, as we reach the center of the galaxy, it kind of collects all this dust, and it causes, every 12,000 years, plus or minus, it causes these massive solar outbursts that wipe out a lot of the planet. He describes a 2-mile tsunami, 2-mile high wave that hits the west coast and literally wipes out North America. From Los Angeles to New York is under 300 feet of water, gone in about 4 seconds. And there's a lot of evidence to back this up. I mean, they found mammoths that were frozen solid with food half digested in their stomachs and buttercups that they were eating still in their mouth. And the science to freeze a creature that big that quickly would have to be, I can't remember what they said, it has to be like negative 300 degrees. And these cataclysms start with these tidal waves, fires, and then there's an instant plunge into ice and darkness. And I mean, that's the theory. I know we're getting a little bit off tangent, but I find it fascinating. I think it ties into the race of giants. The giants are all through the Bible. There's stonework. Look at megalithic structures. Those weren't built by normal people.
Well, yeah, I would agree with you on that.
So, you know, I found it all fascinating. It just makes me more curious. And I know you've done a lot of research on Bigfoot. What the heck is Bigfoot? I know we both have talked to Ron Moorhead, and his recording, you know, is obviously language. I happen to believe Melba Ketchum's DNA studies were correct, that Bigfoot is a creature that is a hybrid, half human and half unknown.
I would agree with that, and I think that's why they worked so hard to basically suppress not only her findings but to ruin her career.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they rained down on her like vengeance from above. They did everything they could to discredit and destroy her career.
You know, we see that over and over again. And there was a scientist who found a site, an archaeologist in Mexico called Lasco, and when she did the carbon dating on these tools, they were 250,000 years old. And she couldn't believe it. She didn't even want to turn it in. But she sent it to like 3 other labs. They all confirmed the dates. What did they do? They ruined her.
Yeah.
Ruined her. And that's what they do. When it doesn't fit with their paradigm, they're going to destroy you.
Yeah, exactly. Naomi, did you ever make any progress with those pictures?
Yeah, I was just about to tell you guys. I'm going to share my screen with you. I think, and I'm not sure, but I think I found Fred Flintstone. Let me see.
You know, maybe I'm just crazy, but it almost looks like the head of a pig.
Very strange strange nostrils situation there.
I mean, it's
One of
really
our,
greedy, but it looks porcine.
So
I would agree with that.
I mean, you can
But-
kind of see the snout and the jowls, and of course the eyes set back, and then off to the sides that one floppy ear. It looks porcine to me. I mean, I could be completely wrong. That's just my interpretation, but
well, like I said, it looked like.
Naomi,
Sorry, guys.
Was that the green orb?
Yeah, basically what I did was I expanded it, I switched it to black and white, and I increased the sharpness as far as I could get it. And of course I did it in Photoshop because that's what I'm familiar with. So I'm not an expert. I mean, there are people who could take that and really find something in it. But since we don't have any experts tonight who aren't sick, I thought I'd give it a shot. So,
No, I think it's great. That's awesome.
I blew it up as much as I can blow it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me share my screen. This is as much as I can blow it up without any programs like Josh has. So let me share my screen and show you what I've got. Right there. It's still in color, but
wow.
it still looks porcine to me. Like its mouth is open.
There is definitely something in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost looks like in the picture, in the original photo, like there's one trying to appear over to the left of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right there.
Right there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't try to manipulate that one, but
I didn't do anything but zoom in on it.
yeah.
That is
Well,
bizarre.
that's what was so, it is, and that's what was so strange. When I say I put these back to back, I literally went click, click, click. The two had images, and the third had none. They all disappeared at the exact same time. It's just weird. I can't explain it.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Well, unfortunately,
strange.
that's the best I'm able to do.
Yeah.
I am not tech savvy.
Well, I even tried it in Illustrator to see if because I'm a little more comfortable with Illustrator, but not with manipulating pictures in it. Like I said, I'm definitely not an expert, but I thought, you never know. I might be able to pull something out of it, and that was the best I could pull out of it.
I think that's pretty cool that you did that at all. I mean, I've had that picture for 11 years. Well, heck, I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice the green orb until my buddy pointed it out.
There's always the need for a third set of eyes, isn't there, DA?
Absolutely. It's kind of like the video we took down, we took at the Joe Bald Recreation Area. It wasn't until a year later when Dream saw the video, and he spotted movement I didn't even see.
Yeah. That's the stuff that really scares me, is knowing that there's stuff going on that I'm not seeing.
Exactly.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
It reminds me of when, actually, yeah, I think it is.
Okay,
better.
Good.
I think,
Hey, your mic cleared up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had the wrong setting. Like I said, I'm not tech savvy either, brother.
Yeah, I'm terrible at it.
When
Generally, if anything crashes, I'm like, uh-oh, got to call my son.
I know.
What did I do?
Me too.
I'm the person my husband calls, so I have to figure this stuff out.
Well, we have to be thankful. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Leon.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, when I was a little girl, my mother used to tell me, because I've always been afraid of the dark. She'd always tell me to close my eyes. And when I did, she'd say, "What do you see?" And I'd say, "Nothing." And she'd say, "See, there's nothing there." And I'd always point out to her, it's not what I can't, or what I can see that bothers me. It's what I can't see.
I know. I know, right?
Not being able to see it does not make me feel any more comfortable with the thought.
It's kind of like if you're going out looking for Bigfoot. It's not when you see one that terrifies you. It's when you did and then no longer see it.
Right.
Like,
Right.
where's it at?
Or that
Yeah.
moment when you see it and you realize it's been there for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or these
Well, I was
EVPs. You know,
Yeah,
same thing.
Yeah, you hear those EVPs and you're like the hair on the back of your neck stands up. You're like,
Yeah.
that is weird as hell.
I know.
Yeah, I'd like to go into the landers and do some like live camera filming, and
Yeah.
then do some AVP recording as well.
I think we can do that. But
would be
if we
awesome.
do that, then you got to take me out in the field and see if we can find some signs of the big hairy guy.
That's a deal, man. I'll take you to some places that are a little woolly around here.
All right, man. I am all about that. You know, and you're right, Leona. It's not what you can see; it's what you can't see. And this whole world that we are in and we're a part of, that mainstream science scoffs at. We know the reality of it, and we don't know what it is, but we know something there. And it's, we're curious people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mother used to tell me when I was a little boy that I would blunder in where angels feared to tread, and that's kind of been the hallmark of my life.
Oh, I'm so there with you. I think the term my mother used a lot was heedless. Yeah. So
The word my mother used a lot was alcoholic. My guardian angels have got to be alcoholics.
yeah, I mean, we have a little bit of that in my family too. Yeah, definitely.
Well, my family's Scotch-Irish. It kind of explains itself.
Exactly. Yeah, no,
My
enough
mother's
said,
side.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Enough
that's
said.
the problem on my mother's side. That I don't know. I just
What?
just the thought of suddenly realizing that there's something there and it's probably been there and I didn't notice it is enough to, if something says to me in an EVP, "Get out,"
Yeah.
that is one instruction I will follow to the letter.
Well, yeah, and one
And
of our listeners, Chip, said, "James, you need to be careful. Those things will attach to people," and I totally agree with that, and that's why I'm really. I mean, I don't know. I would do it. I'll go down there with UDA, but it's not something I want to do on a regular basis, and I want to make sure that we have protection.
Absolutely.
Whether it's through prayer.
I was a career cop. I don't go anywhere unarmed.
Yeah,
Just
there you
doesn't
go.
happen.
And in this case, the armament might be a cross hanging around your neck rather than a revolver on your hip. I don't know. So
yeah, I'm a Christian. I don't go anywhere unarmed either.
there you go. There you go. There you go.
So, yeah.
But I think just trying to get to the bottom of this stuff it's the journey that's so much fun, and that's kind of why I don't know. I have like you, I have a lot of varied interests. I'm just as interested in, like I said, quantum physics started it all for me, and I'm still fascinated with that.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, it's I've had a fascination for pretty much everything creepy since I was a kid. We had I was talking just over Christmas with some of my siblings, and it seems like weird paranormal type encounters have been like almost following my family for generations. Just odd stories. I mean, my mother was born in a house in a town that's now a ghost town called Orla, Missouri. and I'm planning an expedition out there to get permission to go back toward the farmhouse. The farmhouse she grew up in is still there, but it's pretty ramshackle these days. I want to get permission to go back and do some EVP recordings in there. And I want to get into the old mill, and there's 2 or 3 really old cemeteries out there, like pre-Civil War. So I want to go out there and really do some recording and some trekking around. That's coming up very soon.
Man, I absolutely love that kind of stuff. There's a place called the Irish. So you ever heard of that?
Sounds familiar.
It's in that huge tract of Mark Twain. That's where the North Fork and Bryant Creek near Ava, that area. South.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know right where you're talking about.
Yeah. So in the middle of that vast forest, a group of 100 Irish immigrants moved, and they built a community in the middle of this forest, and they died out and they just disappeared. I've always wanted to go back in there and try and find the remnants.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to go out there and check it out.
Yeah. The forests around here are amazing.
It's funny that you mentioned the Jacks Fork and the current or the current rivers, because you get down close to Eminence, Missouri, and there are so many Bigfoot sightings out of that area. Was one guy a report of a Bigfoot sighting down on the Current River. The guy was floating in a kayak and fishing, and as he rounded a bend, he saw one. It saw him, and it lobbed a rock about the size of a bowling ball at his kayak. Oh my God! And it almost sank him. He said it didn't miss him by much. And I said, "What'd you do?" And he goes, "I paddled like hell."
Well,
I completely forgot about fishing.
Was it your grandfather?
The message loud and clear.
Yeah.
What's that?
Was it your grandfather that had a sighting?
No, it was my uncle.
Your uncle.
It was on his back deck.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. I always, as a kid, I always, was really fascinated by this, and most of my relatives would just laughed at me. But my uncle, who was, he was married into the family. He was full-blood Cherokee, but he married my Aunt Violet. And one day when everybody was out playing and doing other stuff, he picked me up and put me on his knee, and I was probably 5 or 6, but I remember it clearly. And he looked at me and he said, "Doug, I'm going to tell you something, and I don't want you to tell everybody." I said, "Okay." He goes, "You're on the right track. They're real, and I've seen them." And I've had him tell me the story several times over the years. But what happened was one night his house had a walkout basement, and he was upstairs, and he decided he was going to go down and shoot some pool. He had a snooker table in his basement, and as he started down the steps, he could see down past the rail. There's a sliding glass door, and there was a figure standing in the door. So he stopped and looked closer, and the door was, a good size, a 7-foot sliding glass door. He said it completely filled the frame of the door and was leaning down, looking in. And he reached for a rifle that was propped next to the door, and it saw him and took off. Well, he trucked over there, slid the door open, and ran outside. And his house was built on top of a bluff over the Niagara River. And it was probably a 75-degree angle down to the river. There's no way I was trying to go down that with anything short of a rappelling harness. But he said it went straight down the side of the bluff, grabbing trees, like scrub trees and rocks as it went to slow its descent, went straight down the bluff, hit the river bottom, went through his garden and into the river.
My God.
I said, "Did you shoot at it?" He said, "No, I did not." I was afraid it would come back.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, is my audio better?
Yeah, much better.
It sounds better, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I want to point out that I have completely a different outlook on life from him. I would have turned around and run back upstairs. I would not have gone down and opened that sliding door.
Well, Uncle Buddy didn't fear man nor beast. That's just the kind of guy he was.
It's not a matter of fear. It's a matter of self-preservation.
I grew up deer hunting on his land. I learned to track deer on his land. He had 160 acres, which was right up against about 5,000 acres of conservation land. And so there was only anybody that was ever out there hunting was family. And I learned, he taught me how to track deer. I mean, I used to fish out there on the Niagara River constantly. We would go out there and put jug lines out and catch pretty much our limit anytime we wanted to, because it was so rarely fished in that area. But we always had a great time out there. But I would go out there to go camping at certain times of the year, generally in the fall, and he would stop me and he'd say, Douglas, this is not a good time to be in the river bottom. You stay at the house tonight. And he would never say why, but he was adamant. You don't need to be in that river bottom tonight. This is a bad time to be down there. Stay at the house.
Well, let me ask you, the Niangua, that general area, it's not too far from the Merrimack, is it?
The Merrimack's actually quite a bit farther north. The Niangua runs, it's pretty much a stream as it cuts through Webster County and some of the other counties. It doesn't really start getting powerful until it's up near Dallas County, where it starts picking up a lot of streams. And then it hits Laclede County. Gotcha. And there it picks up Bennett Springs. And then it flows pretty strong all the way up to Lake of the Ozarks. The Niangua arm of Lake of the Ozarks empties out right by Tonka.
Well, the Merrimack is where, when we did the Giant show, Search for the Lost Giants on History, the cave where the skeleton was found was on the Merrimack. And the
Merrimack's up on the other side of Rolla on the way to St. Louis.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We were
I floated that river too.
Waynesville. What is the little town up there? I can't remember.
Waynesville.
Yeah, the Merrimack. And once again, it just
Richland.
Yeah.
Bunch of little towns up there.
Yep. Steelville is where the skeleton. Yep. The skeleton was apparently kept in a doctor's office for several years, and people would come by and look at it. It was over 8 foot tall. And when we did the show, we actually went in the library in Steelville, and the St. Louis Post-Dispatch had sent a reporter and a photographer, and we found the actual picture, the photo that the Post-Dispatch photographer took of a 6 foot tall man laying next to the skeleton that was well over 8 foot tall. And that was an amazing, and once again, these Ozark forests and caves are just full of surprises, man.
Oh yeah. You can find all kinds of weird things. Like you get up past the little and big piney rivers up in that area. Yes. It's heavily wooded. The topography is loaded with caves along those river valleys, along the Rubidoux, along the big piney and the little piney, up near the Merrimack. There's just so many caves up there. And it's beautiful country and very thickly forested.
Yeah, it's wild as hell, is what we used to say. It's
very much so.
Yeah, it really is. I'll tell you that episode, by the way, if your listeners, your viewers want to watch it, History Channel finally released it after holding on to it for 8 years. But you can find it on YouTube if you search for Ozarks Giant Bones, and I think it'll pop up. But it's pretty interesting. It was a real honor to work with Jim Vieira. He's a noted researcher in that area and still does. He's a stonemason, but he still speaks all over the country. And I think he just wrote a new book with a guy named Hugh Newman, who you see all the time on Ancient Aliens and all those shows. But Jim is salt of the earth guy, totally would never believe something. And he's been researching it for 20 years and he's convinced.
I found that link.
Did you?
On YouTube, and posted it in the chat room.
Cool. Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's fun. Unfortunately the show didn't get picked up for a second season. But, it is what it is. The YouTube video's only been out for 3 weeks and it's already got over 1.5 million views. So they're doing something right.
Definitely.
The whole series is worth watching, though. I think they did about 9 episodes, and it's fascinating stuff. They go all across the country searching. And the thing is, everyone asks, where are the bones? That's the question. If there were these giants, where are the bones? And in every case, including Sterling Newberry here in Springfield, was asked by the Smithsonian to send his findings to them, which he did. And the cave in the Merrimack on the search for the lost giants, same thing. Doc Parker, who had the skeleton in his office, it says right there in the article, the Smithsonian contacted Dr. Parker and asked him to please send the specimen to them for further analysis. In every case, these bones lead to the Smithsonian Institute. Now, if you ask them, yeah, and they vanish. It's just like that old, what was the movie where they show Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Being studied by top men.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure it is. In a warehouse somewhere, never to be seen again. Well, there was a case of giant bones unearthed in the Aleutian Islands during World War II when the Army Corps of Engineers was clearing out an area on the island for a runway for fighter planes. And they unearthed giant bones, and those were turned over to the Army and gone. Never heard from them again. Yeah. There's so many cases of these giant bones being found, and as soon as the government gets their hands on them, they're just gone.
Yeah, look up, there's a great story of a town in Texas. The town's name is Rockwall. It's called Rockwall, Texas. And the reason it's called Rockwall is that when these farmers in the 1800s began to plow the fields, all of them ran into this wall. And it's 60 feet tall in some places and like 6 meters thick. I mean, it's an amazing structure. And apparently they dug up giant bones there. But, the theory, if you want to hear in a nutshell why many people think a lot of this was covered up, goes back to a gentleman named John Wesley Powell, who was the head of ethnology for the U.S. Department of Interior. So, ethnology would be study of cultures. Well, this was during westward expansion, and I'm sure we were all taught manifest destiny, that it was, the settlers' destiny to settle America all across through to California. Well, the Indians, the Native Americans, were painted in the newspapers, by the media, by the government as savages. And any signs that they were highly civilized, a memo was sent out to all of his people in the field by John Wesley Powell. Any signs of high civilization are never to be reported. They're to be sent to me, and it's to be covered. Basically it in a nutshell. They had to paint the Indians as barbarians and savages with no high culture. Otherwise, we couldn't do the land grab that we did.
Yeah, despite the evidence to the contrary in several places.
Right.
Right off the top of my head, there's the Cahokia Mounds. At one time, that was a thriving city.
Yeah, 10,000 people. Or more. Maybe it's 100,000. Be off on that. Massive.
The Earthen Pyramid is huge.
Yeah, isn't it as big or bigger than Giza? They say. I mean,
I think it's close to the same size. I've been to the Cahokia Mounds, and if you're ever anywhere near St. Louis, Missouri, go to the Cahokia Mounds. It's just across the Mississippi River in Illinois, and just a fantastic place to visit. So much history there.
It blew me away. I had to do it too, DA. I just pulled off one time. I'm like, I'm going. I was by myself, and I walked around for about 3 hours. I mean, it's just stunning. My jaw dropped to think that this culture,
one of the largest civilizations in the world.
Yeah. There's so much history that's been covered up for greed or whatever land. It's really sad. I'll tell you a rabbit hole you want to go down sometime is look up Harry Hubbard and the Illinois caves. It's the craziest story ever. And there's
definitely have to check that out.
Yeah.
Fill me in a little. What's going on with that?
Well, Harry Hubbard actually speaks and can understand several ancient languages, including several. He's an amateur ancient historian, and supposedly there was a cave found in Illinois And this guy named Burroughs found this cave. And all of a sudden, this Burroughs guy began flooding the market with these relics. And some of them were like gold. I mean, big pieces of gold looking like, ancient pottery, murals, just beautiful stuff. Now, Harry believes, as crazy as this sounds, but if we can't talk crazy here, where can we? He believes that Alexander and his wife Cleopatra, they were forced to leave Egypt. And now this, we know this in history, they were last seen leaving Egypt with an armada of about 30 ships and 5. Harry Hubbard thinks they came to America, went up the Mississippi, the Illinois River, and he believes they were entombed in this cave in Illinois.
Well, then there's also the report of them finding Egyptian artifacts in a cave in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. And that was in the Phoenix Gazette. It's kind of like the Roswell story.
That was well documented.
Well documented. And now you can't get to that in the Grand Canyon.
Part of the canyon. You can't even float down the river to it.
Wow.
Right. You can't fly a drone over it. It's a no-fly zone. Now, why is that?
Well, there's a lot of areas of national parks we're not allowed access to. And I'm a firm believer that one of the reasons is, well, back when Teddy Roosevelt, before he was president, I believe he had a violent Bigfoot encounter known as the Bauman incident. And he wrote in such detail about what happened on the Bauman incident, it leads me to believe that he was there. Because frontiersmen, I know I've got hillbilly relatives that live out in the boonies, and they don't tell stories in that level of detail. They will gloss over like, oh, this happened, and I shot it, and when I moved on, they don't tell people that they don't know that level of detail. That leads me to think that Teddy Roosevelt is the one that encountered the violent Sasquatch. He had political aspirations, so he changed the name in the story so it wouldn't lead back to him. But he documented that very, very clearly in his book, The Wilderness Hunter. Flash forward to when Teddy Roosevelt becomes president of the United States, one of the first things he did was create the national parks, blocking off millions of thickly forested area where a lot of people have gone missing in, even in modern times. The Missing 411 series documents a lot of the disappearances in and around those thickly forested areas of national parks. I think he cordoned those off because they were known habitats of violent cryptids.
Well, and you think it also explains the reason why they continue to cover it up, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. David Paulides tried to get a Freedom of Information Act from the National Park Service on how many people have disappeared. They told him it would cost like something ridiculous, like $3.8 million to get the Freedom of Information Act, and they're supposed to be free. They deliberately stonewalled him to keep him from getting that information. The Park Service knows damn good and well how many people have gone missing and under what circumstances. They're just not sharing that with the general public.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Paulides' series is absolutely, groundbreaking, doesn't even begin to cover it. And I do respect him for never speculating about what it might be. But yeah, I'm sure you've seen his 2 films, right?
Oh yeah, I watch pretty much everything I can get my hands on, and I'm trying to collect all of his books. I don't have them all yet, but his series, Missing 411, The Hunters, about armed hunters going missing. Those are the ones that really frighten me, because there are a few cases where they were elderly people that you could possibly explain that as maybe they had early stages of dementia and wandered off. But some of these guys were younger than me. And they were experienced hunters that had hunted that area many, many, many times and still vanished without a trace.
Without a trace.
I always imagine those are the guys who actually decided they were going to take one in and wound up being the one taken in instead.
Right.
What about the last story in that documentary where it was the wife of the famous optical physicist. There was a UFO sighting 3 miles away. She's in a deer stand and she sees that creature that's from the, what was it? Not the Terminator, but that Predator.
Yeah, that it looked very much like the optical distortion of the Predator.
And she got a picture of it.
Yeah,
and
that's a good story.
Yeah. There's just so much stuff like that.
Here's a good one. Louis Noriega says the Lewis and Clark expeditions, they did report on big hairy men when they were exploring coming west, and a lot of the reports were buried. Same thing with the Vikings. The accounts from Vinland, the Viking settlement, reported being attacked by, and this is from the Vikings, who were known for being large, hairy men. And Native Americans' average height was about 5'2", 5'3" at the time. They reported being attacked by what they described as huge, hairy men. They called them the Skraelings.
The Vikings, as did the Spanish, the conquistadors, reported the same thing. Oh, yeah, there's definitely something out there. And I think they, maybe the government's trying to protect them. But I think it's probably more likely they're trying to protect the mining and timber industry.
I would say that is far more likely. Because look what happened when up in the mining industry, the forestry industry, the logging industry up in the Pacific Northwest, when there was a gray spotted owl was put on the endangered species list, it shut them down in certain areas just completely. Now you say this habitat is inhabited by, near human hominids. What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, exactly. They're going to be totally shut down. So,
and if the government ever came out and admitted that they existed, they would be culpable for every disappearance that's ever happened at their hands.
That is
not
exactly
warning us
right.
They were there.
Have you had the opportunity to talk to Paulides?
No, I have not. I sent him a request, hoping to get to speak to him or talk to him on the show, but I haven't heard back.
Yeah, that guy. He's probably the most requested interview in kind of our field. Yeah.
Ivy Ray says a lot of hunters. Ivy Ray says a lot of hunters never go back in the woods again after encounters. I've talked to a lot of guys that are just from here in the Ozarks that after having an encounter in the woods gave up deer hunting. And these are guys that grew up doing it.
I don't doubt it. I'm not sure I would go back. You listen to Wes's show, Sasquatch Chronicles?
Mm-hmm. Sure do.
So as you know, his show is only encounters, and it's, I'd say 50% of them are hunters. These people are terrified.
And with good reason. And then you look at the accounts coming out of Alaska. And the accounts in Alaska are far more aggressive than you get in the lower 48. It's like it's a whole different subspecies in Alaska, and it's violent. Like you start getting into what happened to the city of Portland, the town of Port Chatham, Alaska, where they abandoned the town over over attacks. They started a series on Discovery Plus called Alaskan Killer Bigfoot, where they're trying to take back Portlock. I've watched the first 5 episodes. It's really good.
It is good. I'm all over. I got Discovery Plus mainly for channels or shows like that. I'm watching it too.
Exactly why I got it too.
Yeah.
The first night they were there when they camped in that old abandoned cabin. You could hear it walking around the cabin, and they were terrified. And then later in that first episode, the camera crew wanted to leave. They were like, "Something weird's going on here. We want to leave."
Yeah.
It's bad when the camera crew's ready to just drop shit and leave.
Exactly, because guys are pros, man. They're not supposed to leave. Meldrum. Have you spoken with Meldrum ever, Dr. Meldrum?
I would love to speak to Meldrum. I have not gotten a chance.
Yeah.
I sent him a friend request on Facebook. He didn't answer. I sent him a couple of emails. Haven't heard back. The guy is probably inundated with requests like that.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think my show's got enough numbers to get his attention.
Right. But there's an incredible. Go ahead. Go ahead, Leanna.
Well, I was just going to say years ago when I was in college and had to do a speech, and it was the persuasive speech, the last one you do in Speech 101, where you have to convince your people with your and foolishly I elected to do Bigfoot. Is Bigfoot real? And after I did that, then my professor announced that we would have to find an expert, which of course there is no such thing. And I reached out to Jeff Meldrum, and I didn't get to talk to him directly, but I did get to talk to an associate who apologized that, he's awfully busy and he wouldn't be able to be interviewed by me, but he did connect me with John Bindernagel, who of course is deceased now.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But I had one of the most amazing conversations I've ever had in my life. Dr. Bindernagel was just the kindest, most considerate, and interesting person I think I've ever interviewed. I mean, one of the top, definitely.
I would love to have had the chance to talk to him.
That is so cool.
I am so grateful that I got to do that, because he was such a neat guy. And he, the whole time I went back to college later in life, and the whole time he thought he was talking to like a 19-year-old girl. And when he found out that I was actually quite a bit older than that, he thought that was pretty funny. And I never did get to talk to him again, but and then I was sad to hear a couple of years ago that he passed. But
yeah,
my point being that if you can get through to somebody in Meldrum's circle, even if they can't, even if Dr. Meldrum doesn't have time, they tend to be pretty good about connecting you with other significant individuals. Yeah.
No, I'll continue to try to reach out. I mean, I'm of the opinion that the worst they're going to do is say no. It's not like they're going to show up at my front door and punch me in the face for bothering to ask. Like, are you D.A. Roberts? Yes.
I
would have been fine.
I love this comment from Ivy Ray. She's talking about the show that we were talking about, where she says, "Love Discover Plus, but why does only one guy have a rifle?"
I wondered the exact same thing.
She's so right.
These other shows in Alaska, literally everybody's armed. But on that show, one dude's got the rifle. I'm like, you know what? You got a whole case full of rifles. Why don't you just spread those out a little bit?
I know.
Or if there's only one of us gets to have it, let it be me.
Right.
Yes, no doubt.
Or be you're the only one with a gun. You go first every time.
Yeah.
Man, from what I've heard,
go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Guess who I'm waking up? You, because you got the gun.
Yeah. Well, some of these sightings, guys, haven't people actually shot them? And I mean, they don't go down easily, I guess was my point in this.
Yeah, there are a number of accounts where people have fired at or fired on these Bigfoot type creatures. There's even been some accounts that I can't speak to whether or not they're truthful, but accounts where hunters have allegedly killed one. I think it would take a pretty solid rifle. I don't think, my little AR would do the trick. I don't even think I would fire on it with my little AR.
Right.
I would want something a little bit bigger.
What was that guy's name? The juvenile and the mother, and supposedly some of the DNA that Ketchum had was from that kill. I don't know. I've seen him interviewed. He seems somewhat believable, but you never know.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had a guy on our show. It's actually in the audience tonight. No Comp 907. He just made the comment, DA, you'd be surprised how quickly you would doubt the power of the rifle. I totally agree. Most of my pistols, I would be like, I don't think this is going to do anything but piss it off.
Right.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. But we had him on the show, and he detailed his account where he was shooting at one through the wall of a hunting cabin, and realized pretty quickly that it wasn't doing anything. So if I was in that situation,
making an entrance,
right? Yeah, punching holes in the wall.
Right.
I don't even know that I would engage unless I was certain I could make the kill. And again, I'm not, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not advocating going out and hunting one. If I go out
Right.
in the woods, I am going to be armed, and it's not necessarily because I want to shoot a Bigfoot. It's because there are things
Right.
out there that can and will hurt you. Snakes, bears,
Yeah.
mountain lions, and
And
there's things in the, yeah, other people, meth heads.
right.
There are things in Missouri that in the woods that can and will hurt you bad. Um, only way I would advocate ever shooting a Bigfoot or a dog man is if I didn't have a choice. If it's
Yeah.
attacking me or the people I'm with, I'm going to put down as much as impressive a volume of fire as I can put down. I may or may not stop it, but I am not going to go out without a bang. But I as for just going out and to hunt one to bring it in to try to prove something to science, that won't be me. I don't want to do that. I feel that while they may be just a large primate, I would think that they are close enough to human that I would really feel like I was murdering something. I don't know that I could live with
Well,
myself just shooting one.
and one of the things that they do say, I mean, for instance, where you shoot it's going to be a huge thing, because they say if you're being attacked by a grizzly, don't shoot it here because this is
Bone's too thick.
and it's at an angle
Tends to
that
deflect.
even if it's yeah. So where are you going to shoot it at? Ivy says maybe in the eye.
If I had
think
all
Meg
I had
said
was
or
my
the
9mm, I'm going to shoot. I'm going to shoot like inside of the thigh where there's a big, where they're big, the big arteries in the leg.
Artery.
Femoral artery.
I'm going to aim for the throat or the brachial nerve that runs on the inside of the bicep. I'm going to hit big arteries. I'm going to shoot.
See, I'm going to go for the testicles.
Yeah, that tends to slow anything down. But you'd be surprised how lethal shots to the pelvic girdle are. I mean,
Yeah.
humans will bleed out fairly quickly from shots to the pelvic girdle. It is not something
Interesting.
where I'd want to take a hit. But if I had to engage one, I'm not going to go center mass because that rib cage and muscle mass is going to be so thick, it's probably going to stop a 9mm. Even though 9mm have pretty good penetration, I don't know what the muscle density is. I wouldn't try to use a 9mm on an elk. I wouldn't try to bring an elk down with a 9mm. So I don't think I would have any better chances against a Bigfoot. I would be shooting for big artery clusters where there's just tissue, like throat, inside of the biceps, inside of the thighs. You know, like Naomi said, go for the groin. Groin shots are great deterrents.
So
But you know, DA, your point about exactly. Your point about people not, you not wanting to shoot them because they're like human. I've heard many reports where hunters have had their scope on them, and when they saw they're like, "No way, I'm killing a man. I do it." They're apparently their faces can be very human-like.
Correct. And even if it's just a close cousin of human, I don't know. I could kill one in good conscience. It would just have to be in pure self-defense. Dwayne Melton says, whenever I was in grizzly country, I always carried my 375 H&H Magnum rifle, and my sidearm was a 500 Smith & Wesson. Well, I don't have anything that big. Hopefully this coming year, if book sales are better, I will have some things in my inventory.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I don't know that I have anything that would put that much punch. And then No Comp 907 says, DA, I'm with you on not intentionally hunting one, but keep in mind that intimidation factor affects you on some level as well. I was already dead in my own eyes, so I was calm. I've in my law enforcement career, I faced down some pretty hairy crap. Was nearly taken out a couple of times in the line of duty. My wife's gotten that phone call. You might want to get to the ER. Doug's down. That she's had that phone call a few times. Fortunately, none of those times were enough to put me down forever. But it does happen. And falling back to what my mother said about me being, blundering in where angels feared to tread. In my law enforcement career, I never wanted to be the second guy through the door. I was always like, guys, follow me because I'm punching this door. That's just my mentality. I wanted to be first because I always felt like I'm built to handle the danger. I've already got that mindset in my head. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to have to do. And maybe the guy behind me might not. So, I always wanted to go first because I knew I could handle whatever I was going to find inside that door. Mentally, I was
I
already
love it.
prepared. And then the same thing with a cryptid encounter. My first instinct is going to be to stand my ground and defend the people I'm with. For good or for ill, that's my instinct. I will fight a fighting retreat covering people, but I'm not advocating going out just to go out and punch one. The only way I'm going to engage is if I have to. And then at that point, it's going to be it or me.
Yeah. I'll go back and watch the show for sure. But was No Comp, was his encounter in Missouri?
No, he lives up in Alaska. It happened.
Okay.
It
Gotcha.
happened way in the bush country, like 200 miles by river into the bush country of Alaska.
Oh my
And
goodness.
his account is terrifying. One of the better Bigfoot accounts I've ever taken.
I can't wait to get through your back catalog. Since we really just connected a week ago, I've got a lot of fun stuff to watch. So I can't wait.
Awesome. Well, I hope you like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we got to get you on our show.
Anytime, you just let me know.
Yeah.
Be happy to.
All right. Definitely. We'll definitely line that up, man. For sure.
I'm sorry, but I got to say this. You are so beautiful.
Hey, he's getting ready to release another one.
Tomorrow,
for all of you guys that are fans of the Dixie Cryptid podcast and the Steve Lilly stories, a new Steve Lilly story drops tomorrow on Dixie Cryptids. And Cam and I were just discussing, he is going to do the narration of my short story that I wrote, Dog Soldier, about Will Gray Eagle. That's going to be coming up soon on the Dixie Cryptid channel as well. So I'm pretty excited about that. Cam is awesome. He does great narrations, and his Steve Lilly stories are fantastic.
So you're talking the guy who does Dixie Cryptid is going to narrate one of your stories?
Yeah, actually, he's doing my audio books for the Codename Wild Hunt books, and he's going to be doing the Apex Predator book as well. He's already got one out.
That guy's voice, he's got such a great voice for that.
I love Cam. He's awesome. He's already got the first book of my Codename Wild Hunt series out. The second one, he said, should be done and submitted to ACX probably next week, and then it'll be just a couple weeks for Amazon to clear it. So then the next one will be out. But yeah, he's doing a lot of my audio books, which is just fantastic. Naoma's doing the Lakeview Man series, which I'm extremely excited about having those done too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I need to get. I just need to try to get ACX to accept them. See what happens. I have issues with my Rodecaster that I use, my mixing board to record, and it's an issue that I know that they're gonna kick them back for, and I just need to see how bad it's gonna be.
You have a love-hate relationship with your Rodecaster.
I have a love-hate relationship with it and ACX because their requirements are not the same as everybody else's. Their sample rate's different. Their hard limiter is different. It makes me wish that I was a drinker sometimes.
And Naoma does a lot of the voiceovers on the What If It's True podcast. She's been on Dixie Cryptid as well, and she has her own series called Naoma Finn Storyteller.
Naoma Finn.
Naoma Finn on YouTube. She does some awesome narrations on her own.
So Naoma Finn. Wait.
Yeah, it just started the channel a few weeks ago, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got how many episodes up? 5 or 6?
6 at this point.
Okay, I was thinking it was 6.
But I'm writing the 7th one right now. So
that's
hopefully it'll be out.
So funny. We're right there with you with the Stuff You Don't Know podcast. We're on episode 7. So it's a fun journey though. Podcasting's great. You know, yeah. It's a lot of fun.
And
I've met a lot of really cool people through it, and just absolutely love doing it. Met some amazing people and made some really good friends.
Yeah, I've definitely found the great love of my life. Researching these stories and writing them up and putting them out has been this last month, I've been kind of selfish and ignoring everybody else and all of their other needs because I wanted to build my catalog, but I've loved every minute of it. So, there you
Someone
go.
just
Thank
asked
you.
me a question. If I've ever heard of the Almonds haunting case in Gary, Indiana, and I have not.
That wouldn't be
Do you
worth
know
looking
that
into.
one?
I'm not familiar
I'm
with
sorry,
it.
what is it?
It's
I was answering Sal. What I've got right now, Sal, is a Roadcaster, but I'll check into the Zoom PodTrack P4. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
oh, wait a minute. No, this is I think if this is the one I'm thinking about, the one that Zach Bagans ended up buying, it was the Demon House haunting. Yeah. So that was a crazy one where the woman, her child became possessed. They had a priest and a policeman witness this child walk up the wall.
Yes.
That's wild.
And Zach bought that house and moved in.
And moved in and ended up tearing it down. He said it was so evil. So he did a movie about it called Demon House, which you can still get it. It came out in 2018. But this all happened in 2011. And I mean, I saw an interview with the policeman, very credible. You know, when you have law enforcement professionals doing an on-camera interview and they're trembling while they're telling you the story, I'm believing it.
Yeah.
No Comp 907 says a lot of these stories are our shared history, verbally passed down by our elders in one form or another.
And the verbal storytelling is quickly becoming the most popular form of entertainment right now in the world, partially due to YouTube, mainly due to YouTube.
Yeah. And
the other thing is, another thing that has really seen a resurgence is folk horror. And, you know, with the redoing of the Wicker Man and things like that. And so those they've become very popular. So if that's the kind of thing you like to do, this is the time to be doing it.
Well, yeah,
Ivy
look
Ray
at, go ahead.
Ivy Ray asks, when's my next book dropping? Hopefully very, very soon. It's over 55,000 words and growing nightly. With the holiday, I kind of got off my writing schedule. My son was in town for a week, and I definitely wanted to spend time with him. And my writing schedule is kind of shot to hell over the holiday. So I'm hoping now that things are finally settling down that I can get back to 3,000 to 5,000 words a night, and try to have that finished very, very soon. Watch the channel and my website, daroberts.net, for release information. Hopefully it's coming soon.
That's awesome. So you try and write 3,000 to 5,000 a night.
That's my goal. I don't always hit it, but I try to hit that.
Right. So someone said we should listen to the Native Americans. I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's the colonialism, and I'm not anti-colonialist, but a lot of this history has been covered up by
totally
the
agree.
Europeans, you know? So
A lot of that. Oh,
Meg, thank you so much. Says Baby Lemon jumping in our lemon character's arms to hug him. Well, Meg, thank you for the super sticker. That is awesome. We'll leave that up here for a little bit. Meg, thank you very much.
that's killer.
Kind of do a call to arms here. If you guys have not subscribed to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure you share the episodes because that does help the channel grow. And make sure you check out Naoma's channel and check out James's channel as well. James, what's the name of your channel?
It's the Stuff You Don't Know podcast
On YouTube.
On YouTube. I'll send you the YouTube link.
Okay.
Actually, I'll actually send it to you again, but I'll send it to you again.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on YouTube.
It's posted in the description of this episode. So if you're watching on YouTube, just scroll down in the description and you'll find the links to his stuff there. But if you send me the link in chat, I'll copy and paste it.
You got it. Yeah, so we're like Naomi, I'm just starting this, but it's fun. And Naomi, your point was so salient about storytelling. It's a lost art, and it look at I'm sure the channel Mr. Balin.
Mhm.
Oh
I,
yeah,
I mean,
it's one
look
of
what
my
he's done.
favorites.
Yeah,
I like his channel.
and he's
Yeah.
great, but he's just telling stories.
Absolutely.
That's all he's doing. But people love it. I think that's really cool. I really do.
Yeah, it's so funny. He's only been doing this since I think 2020.
Yeah, he hasn't been out that
He had
long.
been on TikTok for a while before that. And I remember when I first found him purely by accident, I thought this guy's really great. I bet he winds up doing good, and now he's one of the top 10 YouTubers out there.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's only
pretty
been
awesome.
2 years. I'm like, how did you do that?
I know.
I hope we catch on like that as well.
Yeah, no kidding.
That would be awesome.
Yes.
I think you will. It's just a matter. You've got great content. Obviously you get good people, interesting stuff. You guys have great personalities, and I'm just watching the chat here. You can tell people really like the show, and I think it's great. It's awesome, and your books are amazing.
Thank you,
I
man.
wish we'd met sooner because I'd have read them all, but I'm in the process.
Well, that is
Just
awesome. Thank you, man.
Oh, you bet. As I buy them, though, I just got to get them signed. So that's my only
More than happy to do it.
caveat to this.
It's not like you're very far away.
That's right. That's right.
We could always meet somewhere for lunch. I'd be happy to sign them.
We definitely need to do that. How do I get into the chat? Do I have to create an account?
I don't think as a guest it will let you into the chat. But if you go to YouTube, if you go to the YouTube link, the live show on YouTube, you can just mute that so you don't pick up the background feedback and just comment on the YouTube channel directly. That's the easiest way to do it.
I usually do that just so that they know it's me commenting.
I gotcha. All right, I'll do that. I'll send you the YouTube. Well, we're on Spotify and so.
Yeah, I would like to,
like you, I'm
as well. But I haven't made that move yet.
I think my co-creator Russell West he's a young guy. He's my son's age, so he's very tech savvy, and he used something called Anchor. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but Anchor actually will take your podcast and it'll send it to several different platforms. Anyway, I'll find information for you on that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love to be able to do that.
Yeah. Definitely.
Simplecast is another one that does the same thing. That's what Cam uses to send out What If It's True. And I like Simplecast a lot too. Their prices are pretty reasonable.
Well,
there's several of them.
We may have to chat about that because I would like to get us expanded into that as well.
Definitely. Well, you've written so many books that are excellent books. I think it'll be a matter of time and contact to spread it. It does take time, right? I mean, it doesn't happen overnight.
Oh yeah. What was it? Stephen King said it took him 12 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah, exactly.
Stephen King's first success is comical. He had thrown the book away. His wife dug it out. He threw it away. She dug it out. Then when he got his offer, he thought he got an offer for $300. He missed the other 3 zeros behind that.
Oh no.
If I ever got an offer like that, my wife would have to accept it for me because I'd have a heart attack.
Well, the fun thing about it is they don't give offers like that to authors anymore.
Very true.
Or musicians.
Yeah, I wish they did.
You and
my
me
husband
both.
And I would be very wealthy people right now if we'd have to be good enough. He is, but he's working on finishing his book, and he retires January 14th, so I'm pretty sure it's going to happen soon.
That's awesome.
Did I go out?
No, not as far as I can tell.
Okay. I thought I got lost for a second.
Well, is there anything else that we need to just go over on the local? We didn't really even get into the other local haunts, but there's a lot of them here, man, from
Yeah,
Wilson's
there's
Creek to Gilloy's. And
the Pythian Castle.
yep, yep. I've spoken with her.
I'd like to get in there and film as well.
Did you ever see the movie Children of the Grave? It was made by the Booth brothers.
Yes, my wife and I watched that one night.
It's pretty good. And one of the segments is on Pythian Castle.
On Pythian Castle, and then the other one is what do they call it? Zombie Road up near St. Louis.
Zombie Road.
I want to go
yes.
They say it's really hard to get to now because they built a park near there and sealed off the entrance. So it's kind of tough to get back to it. But I want to get back there. So
you have to walk. I took my kids there. You and I, it's like, get out of my head, DA. Because every time my in-laws are from St. Louis, and I took my boys to Zombie Road. Then, another trip we used to take all the time was to the Spook Light in Joplin.
Yeah, they say it's getting harder and harder to see that it's showing up with less and less frequency.
That could be. I've been 5 times and I've never seen it. But my friends,
a lot of that area is now housing developments.
Oh,
a lot of the area where it used to show up is now gone.
Gotcha.
There's another one. It's down in Arkansas, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the legend behind it. We did a story on it a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
The legend behind it is the back in the 30s, the railroad worker was laid off, and he thought he was unjustly laid off, and he killed his boss down on the railroad tracks and buried his body down in the swamp. And now they see a spook light on the railroad tracks rather frequently. And I wish I could remember where in Arkansas that was now. I guess
I've seen that.
Notes.
I've actually seen a show where they actually recorded the light and tried to figure out what it was, and
Yeah.
But you're right, that is a very famous one. Those spook lights are interesting. That's a completely different phenomena. There's an author who lives in North Carolina who's written a lot about the mysterious lights in the Smoky Mountains around there.
Another good one here in the Ozarks is the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. That's
no doubt
great place. And I've walked all through that building, and it's creepy.
It is, man.
Yeah.
But in order to stay there, you've got to book the room like months in advance. And my wife and I walked around, and she's very sensitive to stuff like that. I mean, I'm like a psychic brick. It's got to be like a full body apparition, like on Ghostbusters, going before I'll notice anything. But my wife is very sensitive to stuff like that, and she's told me flat out she will not spend the night in the Crescent Hotel.
Wow. Yeah, my band played a gig there
while we were there. That was enough.
Well, have you seen that one video of a family at the Crescent, and they're I think they've got a Ouija board, or they're playing a game or something, and a chair literally goes flying. I mean, it's crazy. It's on YouTube.
I've heard about that. I haven't seen the video, but there was another story going around. They do weddings there all the time. And when this bride and groom got their wedding pictures back, they're like, who's the lady in the 1920s style dress at the back of the photo? And there was nobody there dressed like that at the whole wedding, but she showed up in several photos.
My gosh.
Wow.
There is one other place I wanted to mention, because this is, if you look up Springfield Hauntings, University Plaza. Now, I have some inside information on this. First of all, if you ever drive behind Expo Center, which is the building just west of the actual hotel, not across the street, that's the convention center, the Expo Center, there's a stone wall that's about 3 feet high, and it borders the parking lot behind the expo. There was a battle in 1863 in the Civil War called the Battle of Springfield, which I used to think was somehow to Wilson's Creek. It was 2 years later. Wilson's Creek was in 1861. So the Battle of Springfield, there were several casualties, and it took place all along there. That wall was apparently used by the Confederates as a place to take cover. So there's a story that the University Plaza Expo Center is haunted by a guy they call the Colonel, and more than one person has claimed to see this apparition of a Confederate colonel. But my girlfriend, who's worked there for 30 years for University Plaza, told me that there was strange noises people used to hear. She said they tracked that down to the air conditioner. So it's
That's funny.
She also said the one person that she knows said she saw the colonel was a little bit out there. So we'll take that with a grain of salt. But there was a battle in downtown Springfield in 1863.
Mm-hmm. Well, Anita Bryant, thank you for the super sticker. She's a character bowing down and saying thank you. Well, thank you very much. There is a cemetery in West Springfield it's over near Mount Vernon and Scenic. And there's been reports of Civil War apparitions walking around that. And the National Battlefield Cemetery, the Veterans Cemetery on Glenstone and Seminole. I had a friend that was working security there one night and spotted apparitions in Civil War uniforms walking among the gravestones.
Well, isn't that one of the only cemeteries where Confederate and Union soldiers are buried together? I read that somewhere. Yeah,
that is correct. You can walk down in the Civil War section. There's actual cannons that were used in the Civil War on display in that cemetery, and statues to some of the soldiers. I think General Sterling Price has a statue there.
Right. Who was the Confederate general at Wilson's Creek, right?
Correct. But there are headstones from the Civil War that some will say United States Cavalry, stuff like that, and others say CSA on them. There are definitely grave markers from both sides.
Man, to think that's where I used to romp around on weekend nights when I was a kid. I grew up in Brentwood, and we'd sneak out and go run around that cemetery.
I want to go over there and film, just like right at dusk before they close the place down, and see what I can see. Because some of the stories I've heard where they've seen someone dressed in full Confederate butternut walking among the gravestones were right at dusk.
Wow, that's so cool.
Naomi, are you okay?
You know how it is. It's 11 o'clock and my body says, go to bed. Go to bed.
I hear you.
I try so hard to be a night person, and I'm just not.
I understand. You probably get up at 5 every day, though, don't you?
Well, when at my best, to get a really good night's sleep and to wake up feeling good, I go to bed at about 8:30 or 9 and get up around 4:30 or 5. But I haven't done that in a while. Most days I get up around 7:30. So about 11 o'clock, my body starts saying, "Yeah, it's time to go to bed."
I get it. I'm being in the restaurant business for 40 years. I'm just a night person. I wish I could get up at 5:30. I feel better when I get up early, but it's hard for me. But
that's the thing is I feel a lot better when I do the early to bed, early to rise. Physically, I feel better.
Yep, I'm totally with you. Totally with you.
Yeah.
KD says, do you people see that there is some force that lusts on your DNA blood? I'm not sure what that means. Give me a little more explanation on that, but I think the paranormal has kind of been part of my family history going back generations. I mean, I could tell you all kinds of stories that you probably wouldn't believe that are associated with my family. My grandmother and my father were known to be able to astral project, which I didn't know until recently. We had a great aunt that could put her hands on a solid wood table and make it walk across the room.
Wow.
She passed away before I was born, but my mother told me stories about it many times. So there's been a lot of weird paranormal stuff centered around my family for generations. So I just think it was definitely in my blood. It was kind of predetermined that I would have some sort of interest in this, and I'm really kind of excited to see where my family history takes us, because I know we fought in every war the U.S. has been involved in, all the way back to the Civil War. Before that, we weren't in this country. We were mostly Irish and Scottish
Fighting in the Scottish Wars.
Yeah, yeah, dating back to Culloden. So all my family's ever done was been cops and fight. I mean, it's kind of what we did. So, you know, that strange mixture of soldier and paranormal go hand in hand, because when all your family's ever done is shed blood in the name of one country or another, you know, it tends to stain that family, and that kind of energy follows you. I mean, I'm the youngest of 11 kids. I've got 6 brothers, and every one of us was in the military.
Wow.
3 brothers in Vietnam at the same time. Yeah, so it's that kind of history leaves a mark on your family, and I think that's the reason why I've had so many strange encounters in my own lifetime.
Well, I think that's absolutely true. You see the same thing with the UFO phenomenon. We did a show last week where my co-host, Russell, he and his best friend have had 3 UFO sightings. I've never had one in my life. And I said, guys, you realize that people that have these tend to have them throughout their lives. And then there's families and generational abductions. So I totally believe there's something to that.
There was that UFO sighting over here in Springfield just a few weeks ago.
Really?
It was spotted over downtown Springfield.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
There's a if you go to KY3's website, just put in Springfield UFO, and they've got footage of it.
Wow. Well,
yeah, it was the typical hillbilly UFO. It was right over the liquor store.
There you go.
You know, Russell saw a black triangle. He said I could have hit it with a rock. It was right over their car, and it was on Battlefield just east of 65 in broad daylight. And he and his friend both saw. I know. I'm like, oh, my gosh.
Some buddies of mine and I one night were setting out, and we saw what we thought was a meteor shower with multiple streaks in the sky, and it took us a moment to realize that meteors go down, not up.
Oh, man.
These streaks of light were going out of the atmosphere.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. We're like, what the hell do you think that is? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but we ain't been drinking, so can't been that.
Yeah, and you know, everybody says, oh, he was drinking. I used to drink a lot. I never hallucinated when I drank, you know. I mean, I might see 2 of you, but I didn't see a creature or anything like that.
I've never had any weird sightings. I used to, and I know this is kind of an admission, but I used to drink heavy, and I probably would be dead today if it hadn't been for my wife. She met me and cleaned me up, and still to this day, I'm not sure why, but she saw something in me and cleaned me up, and I have a drink once in a while. But I can't. I couldn't tell you the last time I was drunk. It has been a long time. But I do enjoy a cocktail or a glass of whiskey once in a while. But that's about it. I mean, even to this day, I mean, just don't really have a desire to go out partying or being an idiot.
Sadly for me, it's been so long since I've drank that all I have to do is pretty much smell alcohol on somebody, and I'm drunk. I mean, I'm such a lightweight, it's not even funny.
Well, that's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Alcohol is no good.
Yeah. One of my favorite desserts is banana Foster, but I don't dare make it for myself because the smell of the alcohol is just burning off.
The rum, baby.
Yeah.
The rum.
I've got a friend I used to work with who's
Yeah.
from Belize, and he brought me this ginormous bottle of rum back from Belize, and it's pretty good rum. I mean, I enjoy a rum and coke once in a while, but that's got some really good flavor to it.
Yeah.
They do make good rums in South America. People think it all comes from Cuba, but it's good rum all over there.
Heck yeah.
Well, guys, this has been a pleasure. I've had a good, awesome time. I hope we can do it again,
I
man.
would love to have you back on. We can talk about more Springfield area hauntings, and maybe go out and get some footage of us, going out in the woods and seeing what we find.
We definitely need to do that, and I'll get in touch with this week, get you on stuff you don't know, and I'll set that thing up with the landers. I'm sure we can get in there.
That would be fantastic. I'd appreciate
And
that, sir.
You bet. And I can't wait to listen to your show. I'm excited, man.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna check yours out too.
All right.
I haven't heard of your show either, but I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow.
Well, you know how it is. We were brand new. We had 2 followers, and I think we're up to 50 now. So it's just
nice.
It's how it goes. Yeah, just takes time.
Yep. Yeah, it does.
And looks like you have a great audience too. So I appreciate all of you listeners and viewers. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we do have a really wonderful audience
We
here.
get some awesome folks that hang around with us.
Yeah.
Well, James, thank you for coming on.
You bet. And feel free to put my email in the show notes or whatever. I mean, if anybody wants to contact me about anything, and including if they want me to come cook for them, I still do that. So.
Can you make bananas Foster?
I can.
That's my all-time favorite dessert, but I don't dare make it at home.
When you said that, I was thinking I could make that for her. Absolutely. With butter, brown sugar, rum, little clove, little cinnamon, some bananas, and ice cream, baby. You're there.
You got it.
Sounds
Oh,
good.
man.
Yeah.
I can eat that till I'm sick.
I know. It's so good. Well, it's been a blast. We'll do it again soon, all right?
Definitely. James, you have a good night.
All
Thank
right,
you for
guys.
coming on,
Good
sir.
night. You bet. Take care.
Good night, James.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Oh, my. Now I want bananas Foster.
Well, folks, next Wednesday night, and I know Naomi is usually my Wednesday night co-host. Steve's a little under the weather. He's battling an illness, and hopefully he'll be back next week. But this coming Wednesday night, Naomi, do you want to tell them what we're planning on doing?
It went right out of my head. I knew what we were going to do a minute ago.
The Nahanni Valley.
Oh, that's right.
If you guys want to wet your whistle on that, she did a story on Naomi Fan Storyteller YouTube channel. You can get your wet your whistle on the idea of the story. In fact, I'm going to link that in the description for our show, but we're going to go into a lot more detail. Naomi, you want to give us a little sample of that?
So much more. Oh my goodness. Just some of the fun things that I didn't even cover. Like, for instance, the mastodon has been extinct for 10,000 years, and yet it regularly shows up in the artwork of the Dene people. There are big, hairy warriors that they claim live in the Nahanni Valley.
Big and hairy,
big and hairy, and they are led by a beautiful, pale-skinned woman. I can't even imagine.
They're led by a beautiful, pale-skinned woman. Mm-hmm. So Daenerys Targaryen's leading the Sasquatch army.
Oh, there are. I really want to clarify the May Lafferty versus Anne Lafferty story, because I've heard that it's 2 different women.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also heard that it's the same, that just people tell the same story with 2 different names. So I'm going a little deeper into that, hoping that I can find clarification for that. Hers is a very interesting story. She, depending on, and I'll cover the version that I didn't cover in my story on Wednesday. But there are 2 versions to her story, and they're both very interesting. So, what else? There's prehistoric creatures have been seen other than mastodons in the area. The I think that you guys are really going to like it.
I think so too. It is such a great story, and it ties in with a similar valley in the Superstition Mountains in Arizona, where headless bodies have been turning up there for the last 150 years or so.
And we're going to cover the connection between the Dene people and the, and I can't say the Navajo name.
The Dene.
The Dene, is that it?
Yeah, the Navajo refer to themselves as the Dene.
And the people in Canada call themselves they probably say Dene too. The Chippewa, and there is some evidence that the people in Canada are actually the ancestors of the people who became what we call the Navajo. And isn't it interesting that they both have a valley where people go headless?
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
I'm sorry. The Naha people
The Naha.
who lived in the valley are the ones that are connected to the Navajo. So we're going to talk about that too.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm looking for something real quick.
Holding.
Oh, I think I found it. We've been giving away the audio codes for Codename Wild Hunt. I have a couple of audio codes left for Ragnarok Rising, the first of the books. So what we'll do is we will do a giveaway. Everybody, if you haven't been commenting, make sure you even if you just knuckle roll the keys, get a comment in there because Nightbot is running, and I will let you decide whether or not you want a Ragnarok Rising audio code or for the Codename Wild Hunt. So it will be dealer's choice, whichever code they
Knuckles.
want. Knuckles rolled.
Chef Yoda.
And I think we're going to do 2 codes tonight. So we'll do the giveaway on the codes, and they will be able to choose between the Codename Wild Hunt and between that and the Ragnarok Rising. So if you win, when you email me, make sure you state which one you want. So I'll send you the code for that. So Ronald says, what is the name of that YouTube channel? Which one?
Well, we've talked about a few. James's channel is Things You Don't Know.
Things You Don't Know podcast.
Mm-hmm. My channel is Neoma Finn, and you'll know you found it because it actually says Neoma Finn Storyteller. And we have the podcast you're watching, D.A. Roberts,
Mhm.
D.A. Ex Machina. And of course, there's also Dixie Cryptid and What If It's True.
So there's a lot
And
to
they are
choose
all on
from.
YouTube. There is. If you don't subscribe to any, you should subscribe to all.
Yes, go out, like, subscribe, share, let everybody know so we can get the word out on these channels because we've got between all of them, we've got a lot of content to keep you guys busy and give you guys some amazing stories to listen to. I know Naoma and Cam do an amazing job narrating these stories, which a lot of them are actual Bigfoot accounts. Some of them are stories that have been written. But if you listen, Cam will tell you the difference. He'll tell you whether or not it was an actual submitted account or if it's a story. So he also has the Steve Lilly stories with a new one dropping tomorrow. Actually, no, it's still today here. So a new one dropping sometime tomorrow, and I will definitely be listening to that because I love the Steve Lilly stories.
Yes, me too. I do too. So, if you've don't choose, just pick them all, and be sure you hit that notification button when you do,
Absolutely.
so you don't miss anything when it comes out.
I'm going to put up my my email. Let me find it. There we go. There's both mine and Naoma's email. But whoever wins, contact me at my email there at daroberts@daroberts.net, and be sure to specify whether you want Ragnarok Rising: The Awakening or codename Wild Hunt, Odin's Call. So make sure you let me know which one you want, and I will get that out to you. AJ Cogden says, is there a link to the Teddy Roosevelt story? If you look up the Bauman incident anywhere on YouTube, you'll find it. I would like to do a show specifically on the Bauman incident. But you can also purchase that book that Teddy Roosevelt wrote on Amazon. It's called The Wilderness Hunter, and it's still available.
Yes. And Jonathan, I feel your pain about Discord. I've been on it for a while, and I still sometimes feel a little lost. But if you get in there and just start clicking around, it's not as difficult as it looks. It's actually pretty simple.
I'm right there with you, Jonathan. I'm still learning Discord myself. So if you send something directly at somebody, it will alert them. If you want to talk to me direct, just put at DA Roberts and it'll message me. I've got Discord on my phone now, so I should get all the messages.
Yes, DA has a lot of books on Audible.
Yeah, I've got Codename Wild Hunt, the first one. Odin's Call is out. Cam should have the second one finished sometime next week. I've got the first Lakeview Man, and I also have Ragnarok Rising: The Awakening. More books will be coming. Give me just a minute. I might still have some Lakeview Man ones too. Oh, hang on to your fingers, folks. I do. All right. So I've got audio codes for Lakeview Man, a codename Wild Hunt, and Ragnarok Rising. So you've got 3 to choose from. Should we do 3 giveaways? So we'll give away. Should we do 3 or just 2?
Let's hold one for Wednesday. Let's just do 2.
I've actually got quite a few of the codes left. I didn't realize I had this many.
We can spread them out.
Okay. Well, we'll do 2 giveaways tonight, and we'll do more on Wednesday. So, all right. Everybody's knuckle rolled and had a chance to chime in.
All right.
So here goes the first one. Nightbot says, Ace Banner 007 has won the first code. So Ace, if you will contact me at daroberts@daroberts.net and let me know whether you want codename Wild Hunt, Lakeview Man, or Ragnarok Rising audio code. Specify that in the email, and I will get that out to you. Chef Yoda says, "Yeah, you'll be getting dings going off in the early hours through Discord. I have to shut my hubby's phone because of that. My wife makes me shut mine off when we go to bed. Well, not turn it off, but mute it.
I have mine automatically goes to do not disturb, and you only can get through to me in the middle of the night with a phone call.
Hey, my son's in the chat. Noah, hey Noah. If you check out Jorgamunder at twitch.tv, he does his own Twitch channel. Yeah, he streams video games and talks about all kinds of goofy stuff, and he has a really good time. And it's a good channel. It's a growing channel. So if you like video games, he's actually streamed with me once doing the Bigfoot game on Steam, and we're planning on doing that again here very soon. Nobody says I've been here for a minute. I didn't realize you've been here.
I didn't realize it was Noah, or I would have pointed it out to you.
No, if you'd have said something, I'd have sent you a link, but we're kind of wrapping up now.
Yeah.
All right, here we go with the second one. So, Ace Banner 007, you won the first one. Rolling it now for the second one. Looks like John Doe. John Doe has won the second giveaway. So again, guys,
John Doe, take that tag off your toe.
Ace and John, if you will contact me at daroberts@daroberts.net, specify what code you want. You can get codename Wild Hunt, Odin's Call, Lakeview Man, or Ragnarok Rising: The Awakening. So, let me know which of the 3 you would like, and I will get those emailed out to you tonight or first thing in the morning, one of the 2, depending on how late I'm up. But I do need to stay up for a while and do some writing. So
I need to go to bed. I got a lot of writing to do tomorrow.
I do my best writing at night. Just the way it works.
Why don't you tell them about that Bigfoot game?
The Bigfoot game is available on Steam. I think I want to say it's less than $10 to purchase it. I think I paid like eight or $9.99 for something like that for it. You play, and if you play as a group, one of you can actually play Bigfoot. But you play a group of cryptozoologists that are going out looking for Bigfoot in a park where people have been going missing. And it is a highly addictive game and kind
How
of
well did
terrifying.
you do on that game?
Oh, when I played Bigfoot, I did pretty well. But when I played one of the cryptozoologists, I basically got have you seen that scene in the Avengers where Loki spouts off to the Hulk and he's like, puny god?
My favorite scene in the Avengers.
That's kind of what Bigfoot did to me. I got my butt handed to me.
Wham, 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 wham.
Yeah. So
wham, wham,
if
wham.
you play with
Puny
a group,
god.
play with a group, because if you go after Bigfoot by yourself, I'm not saying you can't win. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it ain't going to be easy. Mark Napier says, see, I told you Nightbot hates me.
Aw, poor Mark. But we like you, if that helps at all. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
it is getting a little late.
It is.
And I've kept Naoma up past her bedtime. Naoma, thank you so much. You came through in the clutch when I was like, I am going to be totally by myself tonight because Steve wasn't feeling well. Josh wasn't feeling well. My son Noah had his own stream going, so I couldn't grab him. Carrie Davis is unavailable. So it was just going to be me and James. I'm like, I am going to freeze up and look like a moron.
You'd have done fine.
Well, I do better with a group, but I think I would.
As it turns out, I got to be the one who froze up and looked like a moron, so it worked out.
No, you're awesome as always.
Oh shoot! Well, thank you too, Lunita. Thank you for being here, and we're all awesome here. That's what I always say.
We do
we're all awesome here. Thank you so much, Meg.
Meg, thank you very much.
Bigfoot is $17.99.
It went up. I guess I caught it on sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think right. We played the last time we streamed it was right before Halloween, and I think it was on sale for Halloween. I didn't pay a lot for it. I mean, I thought it was $7 or $8.99 or maybe even $9.99, but it wasn't that much.
Yeah. Meg wants you to post the email again. Okay. Yeah, so that.
There is the email again, daroberts@daroberts.net.
Or neomafin@gmail.com.
Yeah, if you've got an account of your own or a cryptid story or even a creepy story you would like us to share on the air, you can email it to either one of us at our emails there. I'll put them back up here in just a second. John Doe says, speaking of Roosevelt, there's a post in the cryptids channel of the Discord with a newspaper clipping regarding Roosevelt funding a cryptid expedition. See, I told you. Roosevelt knew they were there.
Yeah.
Noah says, or my Jorgamunder, my son Noah says, Mr. Chef Yoda, we may have gotten it on sale then. I recommend checking websites like G2A or Kingwin for cheaper keys. Yeah, and let me know if you guys do get the game. Maybe we can set up a online game and have a few people join me and my son. We play and might even have one of you guys play Bigfoot. I mean, that is a creepy game. The first time I played it, I was like, this is freaking terrifying. There's a huge map, but I was so freaked out. I didn't get more than like 100 feet from the trailer at any time. You've got an RV that is your base camp. I would like run out and run back. I'd run out and I'd hear it growl and I'd run back. And then it attacked me inside the RV. It was like reaching through windows and grabbing me. Like, this is terrifying.
That's so funny. I won't play that game ever.
Well, it's fun to play. I really enjoyed it. We're definitely going to be setting that up to play again here in the near future. Yeah, Ivy Races, don't forget about Dixie Cryptid Steve Lilly story tomorrow. That the Steve Lilly 9 posts tomorrow. If you guys have a cryptid story or a creepy story, or just want to tell us about something you've encountered, you can email Naoma or I, either one, at daroberts@daroberts.net or naomafin@gmail.com. We would love to hear your stories. They might either show up here or maybe even on Naoma's channel.
Never know.
Dealer's choice. Let us know what you would like us to do, and we'd be more than happy to share the stories. We are always looking for awesome stories.
Absolutely. Of any creepy legends, you let me know. We'll talk about it.
When I finish the book I've been reading, I've been reading this Tales of the Ozarks Howler by Saul Ashton. Great stories in it. I would like to do another show on the Ozarks Howler when I finish that book, because there's a lot of stuff in there I hadn't heard before.
I need to pick that one up. I think I might actually do a supplemental show on my channel on it.
That'd be a cool one for you to do.
If you're okay with that, I don't want to.
Naomi, I don't own the Ozarks Howler. You are free to do stories on whatever you like.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to look up the Union Hotel in Flemington, New Jersey, Meg. I saw that earlier, and I definitely am going to look it up.
Another show I would like to do at some point in the not so distant future is I would like to do kind of a breakdown of Denny Van Dramini's book, Them and Us. Kind of talk about his theories in that, because they really do line up with a lot of my own theories.
Yeah, I need to sit down and go through it again. I read through it before, and by read through it, there were things that I really was skimming over. But if we're going to do that, I want to sit down and read it in more detail.
Yeah, I need to read it again myself. Also, folks, if you want to contact us by mail, we have a P.O. box. You can contact us at P.O. Box 4614, Springfield, Missouri, 65808-4614. We're always happy to hear from you guys. If you want to send us anything, cards and letters or anything like that, we're more than happy to read those on the air as well. And something else I was going to... Oh, yeah, I forgot. Don't forget that if you go by darkangelmedical.com and use the discount code Cryptid25, you will get 25% off your order. And if you order the new spear kit, in the ordering instructions, put in that you want the Team Odin rocker on the kit, and that will be placed on before it's shipped to you.
What are you talking about, Noah? Where are you going to? The A.T. Wilson's Creek? Oh, at Wilson. Oh. God bless me.
Yeah.
I'm so stupid.
That's going to be very tough to do, because that is a national park, not a state park. That is a national park. Getting permission for an overnight flurry and a foray into a national park, gonna be tough. But if you want to make the effort, no, I'd be happy to go with you. I would be.
Oh, somebody was asking about Them and Us by Danny Vendramini. I can never say his name.
Vendramini.
Yep. So.
Great book.
Absolutely.
Also, a series of books that are really good to read if you're into cryptids and into the strange disappearances is David Paulides' Missing 411 series. Fantastic books. Meg says, DA Ace just emailed you. All right, I'll get that out to him. Mrs. Chef Yoda says, DA author, what book is it about going along the lines of your theories? Yeah, it's that's the one. Sorry, I didn't realize I was pulling the same one up. Yeah. John Doe says, the Park Service is rather touchy about the concept of cryptid-related things.
They can be. Yeah.
But they might be a little more open to ghost tours.
They might be.
As long as we cross it that way, because there have been both. In fact, my friend Brian that I used to work with at the sheriff's department, he used to volunteer out at Wilson's Creek. And if I can get his permission, I want to show the pictures he took. He took a picture of his son next to one of the Civil War cannons. The park was closed. He had already locked the gates. It was just him and his son on the property walking around to make sure nobody was inside. And the picture he took, if you look above the cannon and behind, you can see a guy in Civil War style clothing walking behind the trees behind the cannon, and it's as clear as day. I've got to get Brian's permission to use that. I'd love to get Brian to come on and talk about it, but I don't think he's going to do that because he still works for the sheriff's office. So I don't think he's going to want to go on record.
Cool. Ace, I had the same reaction the first time I saw the title of the book. I thought it was Them Us.
Them and
The red
us.
the little red plus sign in between didn't register in my brain right away.
Yeah. Noah says, I don't necessarily mean for cryptid hunting. I mean because you can hear the drum lines and the cannon fire at night. I've heard it driving by there. I've heard like musket shots.
Wow.
Mark Napier says, I want Bender Nagel's books. This is Chef Yoda says, are you planning on having Vendramini on for an interview? I'm going to reach out to him. I don't know if I can get him. I'm going to try to reach out to him and see if I can contact him. Hopefully, knock on wood, I'll be able to accomplish that. But I would love to have him on to talk about his theories. But can't promise I can get him. Noah says, Mom and I heard muskets on our way through one time. I don't doubt it. I mean, there's a lot of accounts. What is the name of the park or battle? It's the Battle of Wilson's Creek. Took place just outside of Springfield, right outside a little bitty town called Battlefield, Missouri. But it's the Wilson's Creek State National Park. Wilson's Creek National Park.
Wasn't that special that they managed to have a battle outside of Battlefield?
Well, the town wasn't
they were
there
really
at the time.
smart. I know.
There were some serious battles of the Civil War fought here in Missouri. We were a border state. In fact, the battle down near Carthage was so bad they referred to it as the Battle of Hellhole. A lot of bloodshed.
Hell's up in Michigan.
That's true. Yeah, Dalton, Josh, if you want to check it out, it's Wilson's Creek, the Battle of Wilson's Creek. Well, folks, you guys have been awesome as always. Naomi, you are the absolute best, bailing me out at the last possible minute because I thought, well, surely she's not even going to see this, but I'll try. But thank you so much for helping me out tonight. Steve, I hope you get to feeling better, brother. Josh, I hope you get to feeling better too. Can't wait to have you guys back with us and at full strength. It's just been one of those things. A lot of people have been not feeling well. Even my wife's not feeling well today, so hopefully she's feeling better as well. But we had a good topic tonight. James Clary, I want to thank him for coming on. Those EVPs are creepy as hell. I have all of those. If anybody wants me to do another show on them at some point, we can play some of those EVPs again.
We'll fight the spirits to get things straightened out.
It is weird that when we do a show about ghosts, we always have the most glitches.
Mm-hmm.
That is pretty odd. And now that we're not playing them, everything's clear. Isn't
that amazing?
Yeah, it's really, really bizarre. Egmeal says at Moonbeam Syndrome. Oh, okay, there we go. I was looking for the comment. She said, Moonbeam Raven says, I lived in Connecticut and Massachusetts and spent a lot of time in graveyards purely because I thought they were beautiful and heard and seen some strange things. Would love to hear those stories. That would be fantastic.
I think I've told my graveyard story before, haven't I? Where I lived next door to a graveyard and I'd have my friends, rather than try to pull down the snaky road that came to our apartment, I'd have them pull into the cemetery and drop me off if we went out. And then I'd just cross the cemetery, go into my apartment building. And they always thought that was just so creepy. And I'm such a creepy individual that I'd mess with them. And it was an old cemetery and I laid down on top of a grave and it went down. Last time I ever did that.
The weird thing is, and you mentioned cemeteries, is just how many cryptid sightings take place in or around cemeteries, both Dogman and Bigfoot.
Yeah, and yet they were the most peaceful neighbors I ever had.
They're not big partiers.
Not really, no.
So,
but they don't mind if you have a party in their yard either.
True. Also the funny thing is, if you go back and look at my my videos that we took inside LBL, the one time I heard something stalking me in the woods was at the cemetery, at the Nickel Cemetery. I don't know how well the camera picked it up because, again, I was just recording on my cell phone. I mean, cell phone microphones really aren't that great. However, I do now for next time I go anywhere, I have a Bluetooth microphone that is much more powerful that will be going with me from here on. But I didn't have it then. Yeah, everyone's dying to live there. But I heard something walking in the leaves near that cemetery, and I think I captured it on audio. But you can definitely see my reactions on the video because it was just me. I was out there with a tripod and my cell phone filming me, and if I'd have had somebody running the camera, I would have had them turn it around and had them follow me. But since it was just me out there by myself, after I walked into the woods a little bit and realized, you know what, nobody knows where I'm at, and I don't have cell service. The discretion became the better part of valor, and I'm like, I think I'm going to get in the van and go check out another area right now. So
look for an obvious spot to drop the phone. I'm telling you, that's what you've got to do.
Well, since the only thing I was armed with was a large bladed knife, I didn't see the benefit in me trying to chase it down.
I see your point.
Moonbeam Raven says, I never thought of graveyards to be creepy, and I never thought of anything that I'd seen to be creepy. It was just a beautiful place to be. Graveyards are generally pretty relaxing.
I love living next door to a graveyard. I recommend it to anyone.
Oops. Mrs. Chef Yoda says, they did a great job in the environment. Like I used to go around and look at everything. It was very well done. I thought, well, that's very cool. Richie Evans says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, man. Sal says, I have to run, guys. Great show. Happy New Year. See you guys all later. Noah Jorgemunder says, the sound's really nice. The environment looks great, but that's about it. Oh, I think they're talking about the video games. Okay. Now.
Yeah, okay.
Noah says, dude, I freaking hate graveyards. Get that shit away from me. Well, we've had a couple creepy experiences in some graveyards Noah can tell you about. We'll talk about that at another time, but I'm keeping Naoma well up past her bedtime. And
yeah, I'm sorry.
No problem at all.
I always feel like such a party pooper.
Oh, you're fine. Let me check my email real quick and see if I've been contacted, because I might want to throw that email address up one more time. Meg said someone had contacted me, but
Ace has already sent you the email.
Okay.
I don't know if John Doe sent it to you yet.
Well, if Ace sent it to me, I haven't gotten it.
Oh, let me check to see if it went to mine by any chance.
I will put the email back up. There it is. Yeah, I didn't get anything at my DA Roberts at daroberts.net email.
Make sure you put it to .net and not .com.
Yeah.
Mine's .com, DA's is .net.
Okay. Well, Ace, if you're listening, resend that email to daroberts at daroberts.net because it has not come through. I just pulled up my email. If you got, and John Doe, send the same email address, and make sure you specify which code you want. It'll be Ragnarok Rising, The Awakening, Lakeview Man, or codename Wild Hunt, Odin's Call. So just let me know which one it is you prefer, and I will get those. Ace Banner Turbo 7 says, just curious, do you know if cemeteries have gargoyles? Some of the older cemeteries, I've seen gargoyles carved up on top of crypts, and it's even on a few gravestones, but you don't see them in most modern cemeteries. You've got to find some pretty old cemeteries.
Yeah.
Ace says, I have not gotten
a
return email. That it's an error. I'll resend.
I actually have seen, by the way, a few accounts of moving gargoyles, the cryptid gargoyle having been seen in cemeteries.
I have heard that as well.
So the stone ones may not be there, but they do seem to like to hang out there if they're moving around. Frankly, that's a little creepy.
Well, Ace and John Doe contact me at the email there, daroberts at daroberts.net, and I will get those out to you as quick as I can. Meg says, Ace, try Naoma's. I've had problem with DAs. Huh.
Yeah, if you
Weird.
send it to me, I'll forward it to him. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I don't have any trouble getting emails from Naoma. But I get emails from
Yeah.
Meg all the time, too.
Yeah.
Huh. Weird.
Just remember that my name is spelled weird because a lot of people.
Hey, Josh made it in. Hey, Josh. Hope you're feeling better,
Hey.
better, brother.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Forgive me. I've got a few emails in here I need to answer. One's from a couple from Meg. Sorry, Meg. I hadn't checked my emails today. I've been, I was looking at the news the other day and I saw there's something going around. A lot of people are getting sick with it. And yeah.
Josh has how the EVPs go. I think they went really well. I love you. Thank you for putting those together for me, man. Having the little video, having the text clip on there as it played was really helpful. I think everybody really enjoyed hearing those EVPs, and then James explaining about the place. He said he's going to try to contact the landers and see if he can get me in there to film, which would be freaking awesome.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. No problem at all. I was just, giving everybody a chance that had won something to get the email address correct before we wound it up. But chat has been awesome tonight. You guys are always the best. Absolutely love hanging out with you guys, because that's really what this seems, less of a show and more of just a bunch of friends hanging out, talking about weird crap. Join us this Wednesday with Naoma and I are going to be talking about the Headless Valley, or the Nahanni Valley in Canada, and how it relates to the Headless Valley in the Superstition Mountains, where people have been where they've been finding corpses for going back a couple hundred years, where the corpse is intact but the head's gone. Ace Banner says, Naoma sent it to you. It's from my Hotmail Outlook account.
Okay. Let me see. It takes a minute to come through mine for some reason, so we'll just sit here and talk, talk amongst yourselves. Two peanuts were walking down the street and one of them was assaulted. I'm sorry. There was a lady at the theater one time who watched the Blair Witch Project, and when it was over, she stood up in the middle of August in her fur coat and said, "That's it? That's all there is? I don't get it." And ever since then, she's been my favorite accent to do.
One of my favorites is the British Museum guy. Oh no, that couldn't possibly exist.
Okay, come on. Well,
Richie Evans says there's only one Highlander. There can be only one.
You know what I was doing after Wednesday night show all night long?
What's that? Topic?
I was,
That just got brought
all
up.
night long.
Yeah, Lenita says,
couldn't
what was the
stop
word
it.
we were on last show? So funny. Topic.
Yeah, topic. Yep.
She says one more topic.
Yep. Oh my gosh, I was doing, I'm not topic yet. And, why isn't it coming through?
I don't know.
I don't either. Well, as it turns out, Ace, we don't like you, so we've blocked you from our. I'm only teasing. We like you. What was the other one I did that was so funny?
Noah says, "Hey, what did I hear? Something about recording at Lambert's? Not at Lambert's, at the Landers Theater, the haunted theater up by the square. James Clary, the guest that was on tonight, has a contact that it might be able to get us in there to film and do an overnight like EVP and filming and looking for any signs of anything spooky and creepy. I don't know if your mom's going to want to go, but I definitely do."
You know what? I didn't think to check my junk mail. That's a good idea.
That's a good
Let me
point.
check.
Oh,
And
it's in mine.
And I got it in mine too. Well, you take care of it. If you've got it too, I won't forward it to you.
I'm going to
See, it's not us that didn't like you. It was our email.
move to.
You don't record at Lambert's, you eat at Lambert's.
Yeah, Lambert's is a great restaurant. If you leave Lambert's hungry, it's your fault. Because whatever you order, like I like to get the chicken fried steak. My son Noah got the baby back ribs. If you finish your meal and want more, they will bring you another order of that same. They don't charge you any more. You eat till you're. Noah ate 3.5 racks of ribs. I thought that kid was going to explode.
Oh, that's funny. There we go. He's no longer in my spam folder.
Mine either.
What did Josh just say about recording at Lambert's? I missed it.
They said I love baby back ribs.
Could be fun. Have rolls thrown across camera.
Mark
That's
Napier
not an orb. That's a roll.
Mark Napier says, in the Headless Valley, do they take the horses' heads too? I hadn't heard anything about them taking the horses' heads, but they sure took the humans' heads.
Mm-hmm.
Expander says, nice to know that I'm starting the new year in junk mail.
Not anymore. I upgraded you to my inbox. It won't happen again.
I am trying to find where I moved it to because it's not showing up now.
Okay, well, I'm going to forward it to you then.
Okay, go ahead.
Where's forward? That should pop up any moment. Baby back, baby back, baby back ribs, baby back, baby. I can't even talk tonight. That's so sad. Aw.
Okay.
By the way, feliz año nuevo también, Patty. A ti también, I think is the proper, right?
I'll take your word for it.
But she's told Josh feliz año nuevo, which is Happy New Year. And I said a ti también, which I think is to you too, but I don't know because I can't remember anymore. Oh.
Okay. Well, now that we got the email thing straightened out, John Doe, you also email me at daroberts@daroberts.net. Make sure you let me know which one you want of the audio codes, and I will get those out very, very, very soon. Just give me a little bit to get those compiled, and I'll get the emails answered. But tonight's been an awesome show. We had a great time. Had a great guest. James Clary came on. Those EVPs were fantastic. Kind of creepy. I'm not gonna lie, kind of creepy. Naoma, again, thank you for bailing me out, so I wasn't up here by myself like a deer in the headlights. But
not a problem.
We definitely had a good time. We talked about a lot of cool subjects, and we even powered through all the technical difficulties we were having, which seemed to stop once we stopped playing EVPs. Weirdest damn thing in the world.
Yeah, everything straightened out just like that.
Yeah. As soon as we stopped playing EVPs, the technical difficulties stopped. Somebody's trying to tell us something.
Oh, poor Josh. Well, I was watching the news the other day, Josh, and I saw that there is something going around, and a lot of people have been getting sick from it. So I fully understand that it's sometimes you just have to feel like voodoo.
Well, I hope you get to feeling better, brother.
And I miss sometimes being on Saturdays. If it wasn't for this stupid little heart medication here, I could do a lot more.
I hear you.
Oh, well.
Josh
Go
said
back
we
to the
went to a
doctor in
Christmas party and
February.
everyone got sick. Oh,
Oh,
no
no.
bueno.
No bueno at all.
No kidding. Well, again, folks, thank you guys for joining us. We had an awesome time. The chat room was super active. Thank you guys for the super chats. Those were awesome. Very much appreciate that. All that goes to help support the channel, help us get equipment and to keep these broadcasts going, and to help us to be able to do these investigations like we're talking about doing the Landers Theater. I need to get a better camera because I really don't want to record that on my cell phone. I want something with a little more depth to it. So, you know, hopefully we can make that happen. We will definitely be seeing how that pans out in the near future. But just, you know, want to thank you guys for your support for the channel and for liking and sharing the videos and everything you guys do to help us grow this community. I appreciate you guys' support on the books. It's just amazing, the show of support and appreciation that I've received from people over the years. I'm thrilled to death that you guys love the stories that I write. And to me, it just puts a huge smile on my face that a farm kid from Lebanon, Missouri has reached so far with my books. And how far we've come in 10 years is amazing. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where 2022 takes us, because we're going to have more audio books out. My goal is to release at least 10 books this year. So got my work cut out for me. And just want to thank everybody for everything you guys have done. Richie Evans says, DA, tell me the footage of the LBL y'all did. The full video is on my YouTube channel. Just go into the location videos. The whole LBL video is on there. I took a lot of footage while I was there, and we are planning on going back. We have a meet and greet that's going to be happening in March. That we're going to be attending. I'm going to be going there hopefully to hook up with Naoma and Cam and a bunch of the others and swap stories over a campfire. But I also plan on going back to LBL on my own to do more footage, and hopefully that one will be early spring, because I think that's when the things are most active. My wife tells me I'm an idiot for wanting to go back by myself, so I probably have to draft my son Noah, because one, he's as good with a pistol as I am, and two, he's not afraid to go in there with me. Josh says, I'm going to try and go on the LBL trip if I'm able and invited. You're always invited, brother. You are more than welcome anywhere I go. Just let me know, and I'm sure Naoma will show up at least once while we're in LBL.
Absolutely. Too close to me not to.
And Noah says, draft? No, I was going to come with you anyway. Awesome, man.
He was going to hide in the trunk.
No. Yeah. He's
sister.
Noah's like me. He will blunder in where angels feared to tread. He definitely got that from me. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Linda says, y'all going to a Bigfoot convention? Hopefully we're going to be able to do a few. That'll all depend on whether or not there are any lockdowns in the coming year. Those kind of,
I know there's one January 22nd in Florida, but I'm not going to that one. I know that they've sent out the stuff for the Gatlinburg one in July.
Okay.
And right now it's still going to be happening. But, of course, things change.
How big is the one in Gatlinburg?
Last year they had room for 2,500 people, but they were turning away people for tickets as early, I think, as May.
Wow.
So this year they're going to put it in the bigger room, which is 5,000.
Nice.
And
5,000 attendance is it just a one-day show?
It is just a one-day show, yeah.
That's kind of far to drive for a one-day show, but 5,000 people kind of makes it worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, it does actually make it worth it, especially when you're sitting right next to Cameron Buckner and half those people are there to see him.
Well, that would be awesome to set up a booth with y'all and see what kind of attention we can grab and maybe record a few stories and just enjoy chatting with folks. I'm going to talk to my wife. She does all my convention bookings. I'm going to see if she can get me booked for Gatlinburg. That would be awesome. Hopefully we can decide where our booths are, because I would be more than happy to share a booth with you guys, but with 24 books on the table at current moment, I need a lot of room. So
Yeah, you would be better off. It was difficult last year sharing a booth with Nance from Buckeye Bigfoot. So this year, it's going to be 2 separate booths, even with her. So,
well, hopefully I can request to be right next to Cam and you.
yeah,
That way,
yeah.
or we can
That way I can
affect
help
each
out
other's
at both
traffic.
tables.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, because I just go to help out.
Well, you are 100% welcome at our booth anytime. Again, thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been a great night. I'll get those codes out as soon as possible. And Mark Haber says you're likely to meet something big and ugly. Me. that's funny. Well, brother, I'd be happy to meet you there. See what kind of ugly we can get into. See if we can't call something in. I've got a couple of ideas on how to get their attention, and I don't really want to talk about them yet because I don't want somebody else to beat me to it. But I've got a couple ideas on how I might be able to get a dog man's attention, and they're not through call blasting, and they're not through beating on trees. These are different approaches. So I'm gonna try something new and see what kind of attention I can get.
Just so long as it doesn't involve barbecue sauce and me being tied to a tree, we're good.
But we'll make sure the rope's loose so you can get away.
I'm going to charge you guys for the barbecue sauce.
And
I'll bring my own, but I'm going to charge you.
We'll get that sugar-free barbecue sauce because we don't want to make a dog man diabetic.
Oh, that's true. We don't want to do that.
Well, folks, again, thank you guys so much. It's been a great night. We've had a great time with our guests. Naoma, thank you again for joining me on short notice. Everybody, you guys are awesome. We love hanging out with you guys. I've said it many times before, and I will continue to saying it. Writing is a journey that we take together, both reader and writer, because without one, there's no need for the other. It's the perfect symbiotic relationship. We're in this together. You help shape these journeys. You help shape these stories just by interacting with us and talking to us and telling us your stories. You help to evolve all the stories that are going to take place in the DA universe. And I am so thrilled and amazed and grateful that you guys are along for the ride. So let's find out where it's going to take us. It's writing is a journey we take together. And again, thank you guys for taking it with me. You guys are all amazing. So I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Happy New Year to everybody. This is the first DAX Machina of the new year. Yay!
Uh-oh. I'm so sorry.
You're playing celebratory music. Awesome.
Oh, man, I can't make it stop. It's my neighbor calling me in the middle of the night, so I need to find out what's going on with her.
Okay. Well,
I'm going to have to say goodnight.
Okay. Well, have a great night. Thank you again. I'll see you on Wednesday. I'll get that show set up, and we'll be talking about the Nahanni Valley. Go ahead,
All
Naomi.
right,
You can go ahead and go, and I'll wrap it up.
Okay, good night.
Good night. Again, folks, thank you guys. Really appreciate you guys being here. This has been a great night, and we've talked about a lot. The EVPs were awesome. Josh, thank you so much for setting those videos up so we could share those. James, thank you for sending those to me so we could share them on the air. Don't forget to check out the channels that we've talked about tonight. The links to James's shows are in the description of this show. So make sure you like and subscribe his. Check out Naoma Finn on YouTube. Like and subscribe to hers. Check out What If It's True podcast. whatifitstrue.com. Remember that we've got a Steve Lilly story, Steve Lilly #9 dropping tomorrow. That's going to be awesome. And just again, thank you guys so much. And thank you for being here on this first show of the new year. And let's see where it takes us. I hope you guys have an awesome night. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. Again, the topic is going to be the Nahanni Valley. So hope you guys have a great night. Oh, Josh is popping in. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you for joining us tonight on DAX Machina. If you ever have an encounter of your own that you wish to discuss, contact us at daroberts@daroberts.net. You can remain completely anonymous if you wish. Pull your covers up tight and keep a nightlight burning bright. Oh, and did you forget to lock your doors?